Chapter 1373. Is this safe? General Ran looked around and was a little worried when he saw that there was no one around the pavilion. If he had known, he would have sent all his guards to surround the place. Don't worry. Li Fan clapped his hands, and 12 hero swordsmen suddenly appeared from the surroundings. None of them had any aura, and they silently guarded the pavilion. General Ran was a little surprised, but Murong Ying had long noticed and was not surprised. At this time, Chun'er stepped forward and poured tea for the three of them, then stood to the side to serve them. This place is a dragon's pool and tiger's den. General Ran could not help but say. To the enemy, of course it is a dragon's pool and tiger's den. Li Fan chuckled. But to you and me, this is a paradise. Murong Ying sat to the side and looked at Li Fan, her eyes a little confused. This little man had grown so much in just a few years. Now, he chatted with a general as if it were a family matter, as if he did not care about the other party's identity at all. He had grown, and to a level that even she had not expected. Now, he was mighty and extraordinary, and was no longer the young man who needed her protection. His wings were full, and he could fly to the sky. This was the current Li Fan. Villa Master Li, try the tea of our villa. This is a new batch of tea, and it is better than the one you had last time. Li Fan did not seem to be in a hurry, and he even recommended his new tea to General Ran. If it tastes good, remember to help me advertise it. Those high officials and nobles in the capital should not always spend a lot of money on those expensive teas. My tea here, in addition to being cheap, has the effect of prolonging life. It can be called medicinal tea. These tea leaves were personally cultivated by Luo Xiaofeng. After all, he was a genius disciple of the Valley of the Medicine Masters. In addition to alchemy, it was not difficult for him to cultivate medicinal tea. After all, Li Fan runs such a large villa. In addition to tourism, he has to think of other ways to make money. This medicinal tea was an idea that Dong had thought of for him. Although this girl was a man of few words and had a cold personality, she was knowledgeable and had a lot of ideas. The tea is not bad. Sigh. General Ran suddenly put down the cup and said, I didn't come here to talk about tea with you. I'll recommend him to you later. There's an important matter that you must help with. Something big. What's going on? Li Fan pretended not to know anything. In front of General Ran, he gently held Murong Ying's little hand, making Murong Ying's pretty face blush. It wasn't easy for me and Xiao Ying to reunite. We still have to spend some time together. This is the most important thing. Murong Ying shook off Li Fan's hand and glared at him coquettishly. This guy was obviously very eager in his heart, but he just had to pretend in front of General Ran. He probably wanted some benefits. You two close the door. You can do whatever you want. General Ran was a little anxious, so he didn't care about his military prestige anymore. He said straightforwardly, according to the government's observation, a terrible guy will be born soon. At that time, I'm afraid the people will really be plunged into misery and suffering. Who could be so powerful? Li Fan disagreed. Our dragon god number 1 has already ascended to the heavens. Your status in the capital should be like the sun at high noon. Who do you still need to be afraid of? This guy. Even dragon god number 1 can't deal with him. General Ran smiled bitterly. Do you know about the Millennium Disaster? Millennium Disaster? What the hell? Li Fan continued to play dumb. He had already gotten this information from Bai Lin Luo. But now, he had to pretend to the end to achieve his desired goal. Legend has it that every 1,000 years, there will be a major disaster in the world. General Ran went straight to the point and didn't hide anything. He immediately said, Do you know about Demon Island? I've heard a little about it. I heard that 3 people entered this island in the past. One of them was called Mr. Yang, who later joined the parliament. One was called Prophet, who followed our government and established the Special Abilities Bureau. The last one created the Golden Empire and called himself the God of Creation. Yes, it's these 3 people. They once mistakenly entered Demon Island and obtained the power of Demon Island. General Ran nodded. Everyone mistakenly thinks that Demon Island is a blessed land, but that's not the case. This Fiend Island was a huge sealing formation, and a terrifying fiend was sealed on it. Every 1,000 years, the demon will leave the island, destroy the world, and then let the world be reborn. Fallacy. If that's the case, how could China have 5,000 years of history? Li Fan shook his head as if he didn't believe General Rant's words. At first, we thought so too. But later, we learned that since 5,000 years ago, humans had joined forces with the 4 sacred beasts to seal this demon. After the fall of the 4 sacred beasts, humans relied on the successors of the 4 sacred beasts to seal the array once every 1,000 years. But now, the successors of the 4 sacred beasts, their strength is declining year by year. I heard that this time, they are powerless to seal the array. The demon is about to break the seal. The current 4 sacred beasts are just scum relying on the legacy of their ancestors. Li Fan snorted coldly. Those fellows were still clamoring to kill me and Dragonis, but there's no movement now. Well, the 4 of them have been in seclusion to seal the array, General Ran explained. Now, they are about to come out. We have almost found the location of Demon Island and are ready to set off to fight the demon. You have found the location of Demon Island? Li Fan was a little surprised. He had thought that no one but him would find that Demon Island. It's all thanks to you for helping us study the body of the god of creation. General Ran patted Li Fan's shoulder, feeling gratified. We studied his brain and found the approximate location of Demon Island from the memory of the brainwaves left inside. Technology was really scary. If the god of creation knew that his body had been developed in this way, he would probably be so angry that he would come back to life. It's not just us. According to the news that we deliberately released, all the major countries are also preparing to go to Demon Island. General Rant's expression became solemn. This is a very important mission. Li Fan, you must complete it. I won't go. Li Fan waved his hand. I don't care about the demon. I'll leave it to you big shots to deal with it. When the time comes, we can just drop a few atomic bombs on the island and solve it. If atomic bombs can solve it, why do we need to find you? General Ran rolled his eyes at Li Fan's words. The island is protected by an inexplicable magnetic field. Missiles can't lock onto it, and planes can't fly over it. Previously, the United States secretly dropped a nuclear bomb, but it disappeared without a trace when it reached the island. Chapter 1374. Oh, so powerful. Li Fan was still not interested, but with so many countries united, there must be a way. Isn't there Jiang Feng in China? He's so powerful. Moreover, if the 4 sages join forces, that guy from Devil Island will have a hard time. I'm tired, and I'm ready to retire. Tell me, what benefits do you want? Having known Li Fan for a long time, he naturally knew what kind of person he was. General Ran didn't talk nonsense. He slapped his thigh and asked directly. Abolish the ban on martial arts. Li Fan's eyes lit up and he immediately said. Murong Ying, who was sitting next to him, also raised her head when she heard this. Her black eyes flashed with a different expression as she looked at Li Fan. General Ran was startled. He had thought of countless conditions for Li Fan. What would he want? Money. Power. It was nothing more than these 2 things. But he didn't expect that what Li Fan wanted would be this one. This, what? Have you forgotten your original lofty words after being promoted? Li Fan chuckled. Who said that Wulin is an inseparable part of China? China has such a strong Wulin culture. Do you want to see this culture being obliterated? This is not a small matter. General Ran looked at Li Fan deeply. You brat. I really underestimated you. This condition won't benefit you at all. But you have to pay a lot. I'm a martial artist. Li Fan said very simply. It's too tiring for me to carry China's thousands of years of Wulin culture alone. He gently rubbed the purple clay teapot with his fingers. In the past, Wudang, Shaolin, Huashan, Beggar Gang, 4 villas, for major alliances, so many sects and so many masters. They inherited the martial arts of their sects from generation to generation, and they also inherited the chivalrous culture of their sects. When the Western powers invaded, they also contributed their strength to block the attacks of the Western masters for us. But look at China now, there are no masters to speak of. Even if there were, those people would have hidden themselves, afraid that they would become ghosts under the butcher knife of the government. Now that things have come to this, I have personally sent Dragon God number 1 into the sky, and now I have to go on a punitive expedition against such a terrifying enemy. I don't have any other requests. I just hope that Huaxia can restore the dignity of martial artists and reopen the doors of ancient martial art. I understand what you mean, General Ran smiled bitterly. Right now, all the major sects had taken the cultivation dispersing pill. Their strength had greatly declined, and because of the medicinal effect, they would never be able to regain their original strength. Otherwise, with their foundations, it wouldn't take long for them to regain the inner force they had lost. That cultivation dispersing pill is incomparably tyrannical. Even if the ban on martial arts is lifted, I'm afraid it won't be able to restore the grand martial arts scene of the past. You don't have to worry about that. I have my ways. Li Fan smiled. Luo Xiaofeng had already developed a new medicinal pill called the reversal pill. This reversal pill had no other use but to counter Song Fuya's energy dispersing pill. Since ancient times, the Medicine King Valley had been divided into yin and yang gates. The poison of the yin gate had to be solved by the people of the yang gate. The reason why Luo Xiaofeng developed this antidote was to challenge the traitor of the yin gate, the genius elder Song Fuya. But even if Li Fan had this antidote, without the official document from the government, he wouldn't dare to solve the poison in the bodies of the experts of the major sects. Because by doing so, not only would he not be helping them, it would be equivalent to harming them. Currently, there were a few relatively famous sects in Jianghu: Wudang, Shaolin, Amei, Qingcheng, Huashan, and Murong Villa. Among these 6 major sects, other than Murong Villa, the others had all taken the cultivation dispersing pill. They only existed in name and had really become tourist attractions. The 4 major alliances were basically finished. Leaning on the Sword and Laughing Breeze already belonged to the 7 Knights Villa and became the Leaning Sword Hall. As for Long Fengyu, who was riding on the whistling west wind, he might still be able to make some achievements. However, under the purge of the ban on martial arts, the number of experts under him was pitifully small. If he wanted to restore the glory of the previous alliance, he needed time to recuperate. In addition, the White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains had already merged with the Imperial Army and was now the henchman of the government. The remaining Xitigaba Tomb Watchers had already been eliminated by the White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains. The other small sects and underground organizations had also ceased their activities and went into hiding. As long as he lifted the ban on martial arts, Li Fan believed that these sects would soon shine again. After all, they were sects that had existed for thousands of years. Naturally, they had their own way of survival. How about this? I only have this condition. Li Fan looked at General Ran. It's not too much, right? Indeed, you have good intentions. General Ran understood Li Fan's thoughts. In fact, he really admired people like Li Fan. But this matter is not up to me. Let me discuss it with the higher-ups. How about it? Sure, I will wait for your news. Li Fan was not in a hurry. He was just doing his duty. As for the rest, let him be. Come, have some tea? Not for now. I have to meet a few people. General Ran was not in the mood to drink tea. He came in a hurry and left in a hurry. After he left, Murong Ying finally spoke. Is it really okay for you to do this? Although Murong Ying admired Li Fan's integrity, she also felt that he was a little silly. My dear, do you know what it means to be more meritorious than one's master? Li Fan was not worried. He chuckled and looked at Murong Ying. Are you saying that the Eagle faction has been planning to attack you for a long time? I have too much power now. They can't let me continue to grow. Li Fan was thinking very far ahead. How can I allow others to sleep next to me? As the Supreme Sword, if I were alone, Huaxia would have to tolerate me, but they would not be afraid of me. But now, look at my manner. This power is enough to make Huaxia afraid. Then your condition is meaningless. It's better to ask for more benefits for yourself. Murong Ying was still a little puzzled. Am I such a selfish person in your heart? Li Fan stood up and looked into the distance. Li Fan, I'm just trying my best to maintain the martial arts world before I leave. Looking at the young man's back, Murong Ying was in a trance again. Could he really let go of such great power just like that? Now, Li Fan could be said to be the sun at high noon in Huaxia. He presided over the Seven Knights Villa and held the supreme sword in his hand. Even if she had the Murong Villa in the past, she would not dare to compare with him. He was quite open-minded. Well, let's not talk about these things. Your ice flame swordsmanship is good. Why don't you teach me? Sure. Murong Ying smiled. I haven't taught you martial arts for a long time. Don't be afraid of suffering. Well, madam, how about going to the bed with me first? You're going to die. Watch the sword. Chapter 1375. After this is done, you must leave Huaxia. General Ran once again came to the Seven Knights Villa. The higher-ups have agreed to let you take everyone away and return to the Li family island. However, you must hand over the Shongfang sword. Even if you return to Huaxia in the future, you must abide by Huaxia's laws. Moreover, the Li family island is a subsidiary of Huaxia. You cannot establish your own country. General Rant's series of conditions made Murong Ying a little restless. This was too shameless. Was he really trying to get rid of the donkey after it had outlived its usefulness? General Ran, isn't this too much? Murong Ying slammed the table and stood up. The aura of the martial arts alliance leader spread out again, making even the general feel some lingering fear. Li Fan has done so much for Huaxia, but now he and his family are going to be chased out. Villa Lord Murong, this is not my intention. General Ran smiled bitterly. How could he not want Li Fan to oversee Huaxia? However, even the Eagle faction could not occupy the entire capital. The Dove faction was so powerful. Even though they did not have much say now, they still had the support of the big shots. If the Eagle faction wanted to make decisions, they had to give the Dove faction some face. Moreover, Li Fan was indeed too powerful now. His Seven Knights Villa had many experts, all of whom were law enforcers. If they were not controlled well, they might become a terrible disaster. Huaxia had always advocated the doctrine of the mean since ancient times. Such unstable factors could not be allowed to remain. Expelling Li Fan was actually the best choice. The big shots behind the Dove faction even proposed to secretly execute Li Fan. This was simply ridiculous. They had been kicked in the head by a donkey. What right did they have to be so arrogant? What right did they have to decide? What utter foolishness. Unfortunately, in the face of these conflicts, a lowly general of an aristocratic family like him had no say. However, the Eagle faction had indeed done their best. Exiling Li Fan was the best outcome. Exile? Fine. Li Fan nodded as if all this was within his expectations. General Ran felt sad when he saw him like this. If this man hadn't appeared out of nowhere, they would have been trampled on by the grandsons of the United States Empire. How would they be qualified to sit here and discuss how to deal with the Demon Island? However, today, this hero was going to give up everything for the last bit of strength of China's rise. I'm sorry about this. General Ran picked up the teacup and said, "It's not convenient today. I'll use tea in place of wine to apologize to you. After this is over, I will personally go to the Li family island and drink to apologize." After saying that, General Ran drank the tea in one gulp. The taste of the tea was indeed good, and there was a warm feeling in his lower abdomen after drinking it. But now, he was not in the mood to taste tea. I appreciate General Rant's kindness. Li Fan cupped his hands. But forget about coming to Li family island. Your identity is special, and it's not convenient for you to leave China. Although the Li family island is also an inseparable part of China, it is still too sensitive. What are you afraid of? If I can't even make a decision on such a small matter, how can I be a fucking major general? General Ran was originally a straightforward person, but now he couldn't help but curse. Actually, I envy you. When you retire, you will be free, and you won't have to suffer in this place. The center of power was like a whirlpool. Once people were sucked in, they would be unable to stop. Haha, that's true. Come, I'll also use tea in place of wine to toast you. After saying that, Li Fan ordered Chun-Er, go and find the dragon lady. Also, bring the Shang-Fang sword. This is the antidote. General Ran also completed the task that Li Fan ordered. You can send the antidote to the people of the major sects. If you are too busy, I can send someone to help you. I can't make decisions on other things, but I can send someone to be a courier. Haha, thank you, Brother Ran. But don't worry, my people are already waiting in the vicinity of the major sects. Once the order is given, the antidote will naturally be delivered. You're really good at strategizing. You've already arranged everything properly. General Ran looked at Li Fan with admiration. It would be good if you were a real soldier. I would be willing to fight for you. Brother, what are you talking about? It's a peaceful time now. How can there be a war? Li Fan smiled. The game between the countries will only be played by people like us. I don't think that's necessarily true. Brother, since you want to go to the Demon Island this time, then, as your big brother, there is something that I have to tell you. He looked around. This was the Seven Knights Villa, Li Fan's place, so no one should leak the secret. General Ran lowered his voice and whispered in Li Fan's ear. I heard that there is a true immortal secret art hidden on this demon island. Li Fan raised his eyebrows. True immortal secret art? What is that? I can only say this much. Brother, I hope we will have the opportunity to meet again in the future. With that, General Ran bade farewell to Li Fan and left the Seven Knights Villa with the Shang-Fang sword that Chun-Er gave him. As for Li Fan and Murong Ying, they returned to his room. True immortal secret art. What is this? The secret of becoming an immortal. Dragon Girl pushed the door open and walked in. Hey, you're here. I thought you left with him. Li Fan was a little surprised. Dragon Girl actually stayed behind. Why? Do you want to chase me away? Dragon Girl glared at Li Fan and then looked at Murong Ying. It seems that you don't care about me, your teacher, anymore now that you have someone you like. Haha, what are you talking about? But thinking that you are the teacher of the Shang-Fang sword, what can they do if you stay here? I can't teach much. I just supervise the Shang-Fang sword every time I wake up. Dragon Girl sat opposite Li Fan, tore open a bag of potato chips, and started eating snacks. Besides, everything here is delicious. Chio'er's cooking is unique in the world. I won't leave. Foodie. Li Fan could only give such an evaluation. Let's talk about that true immortal secret art. Is it really the secret of becoming an immortal? True immortal secret art is just a legend. Dragon Girl shrugged. I heard that back then, the immortal Lu Dongbin, in order to enlighten the people of the world, descended to the mortal world and taught a Daoist a few pithy words. After that Daoist cultivated it, his martial arts actually reached the innate realm and became invincible in the world. I heard that he left behind these pithy words to his disciples before finally becoming an immortal. Are there really immortals? Li Fan raised his head and looked at the sky outside the window. Who knows? I heard that even Emperor Qin was looking for this true immortal secret art. So he sent people out to sea to search for it, but they never found it. If it is really on Demon Island, you can study it. But I still need to be alive to study it. Li Fan would not casually fantasize. Even if this immortal pithy words were good, he still needed to be alive to cultivate it. We are about to leave for Demon Island. Let me teach you one last thing. Dragon Girl seemed to have made a decision. Chapter 1376. Hey. Li Fan was a little surprised as he looked at Dragon Girl. Didn't you say that you have taught me everything? Dragon Girl's face turned red. That, teaching the disciple will starve the master. Didn't your wife's master also not teach you a move? Murong Ying immediately harumphed when she heard that she had been dragged into this. I am teaching based on merit. 5 Animal Frolics was indeed the best choice for Li Fan, who had no martial arts foundation at that time. Murong Ying's intention was for Li Fan to use 2 to 3 years to master 5 Animal Frolics and build a good martial arts foundation. Then, he would practice some advanced martial arts and progress step by step. But who would have thought that this kid took a different path and actually trained 5 animal frolics into the world-shocking 7 hero fists? Li Fan's potential was really limitless. He didn't know if that true immortal art was real or not. If it was real, it would have a magical use. This set of martial arts is actually a supplement to your moves. Dragon Girl looked at Li Fan. Your War Dragon Roar can only be used as a burst technique at the moment. Yes, War Dragon Roar is a kind of sound wave technique. At the critical moment, it can be used to send the enemy in front of you flying. Li Fan explained. This kind of sound wave technique is too stupid. You are simply wasting God's gift. Dragon Girl curled her lips. How can a real dragon roar be this kind of random roar? Then what is it like? Li Fan was a little unconvinced. His War Dragon Roar was clearly very powerful. This roar was earth-shattering. Ordinary enemies would be sent flying and experts would have their blood flow reversed. Dragon Girl didn't answer and just let out a shout. Instantly, a sound wave exploded from her cherry mouth and swept through the entire pavilion. Li Fan and Murong Ying felt their scalps go numb and a chill ran down their spine. Dragon aura. This was the power of a true dragon. Even its pressure was enough to make people feel uneasy. At the same time, the roar caused their ears to ring incessantly, and their vision to darken, as if they had fallen into a state of dizziness. However, both of them were top-notch experts. This state only lasted for less than a second before it was dispelled by their strength. However, it was enough to shock the two of them. For experts, even a second of dizziness was enough to do a lot of things. When experts exchanged blows, they couldn't afford to relax at all. This is amazing. Li Fan was already a guru, and he couldn't help but show the excitement that people of his age should have. He couldn't help but be excited. This dragon roar was simply a crowd control move. It was definitely a tactical skill. Even Murong Ying, who was watching from the side, could not help but be moved. This move was truly too terrifying. Originally, you wouldn't be able to learn this move. The dragon lady looked at their reactions and felt a little proud of herself. However, you had a fortuitous encounter and ate a dragon, so your body has some dragon might. In this case, you can learn this move. These words made Li Fan mutter in his heart. If that was the case, wouldn't I be the only one who could learn it? I can't pass it on to Jiang Yi, Xiao Hu, and the others. These two little fellows had already gone out to train. Li Fan wanted to pass on some martial arts to them, but the master had already taught them, and the cultivation was up to them. As for how much progress they could make in the future, it still depended on their own hard work. Demon Island is a scary place. The dragon lady's small face was originally filled with pride, but when she thought of Demon Island, a trace of fear appeared. I've only heard of it, but I've never been there. Even if I was nearby, I probably wouldn't dare to go in. Even if it's a dragon's pool and tiger's den, I still have to go in. Li Fan glanced at Murong Ying. If you really can't do it, you can stay in China. Hearing that even the fearless dragon lady was so afraid, Li Fan slightly regretted his decision to bring Murong Ying on board. Looking down on me. Murong Ying hated this the most. She snorted. Dragon's pool and tiger's den, you can go, but I can't. All right then, let's go together. The moment Li Fan said it, he regretted it. He understood Murong Ying's character. His words seemed to be provoking her to make a move. Li Fan wanted to explain, but he held it back. Since things had come to this, explaining was useless. If Murong Ying understood him, she would naturally understand his intention. In short, I have to go. Murong Ying naturally understood Li Fan. Her tone softened. After all, we have an agreement. For this month, I will be your hired thug and share the same hatred with you. Good. Hearing this, Li Fan became more confident. With 2 saint-level experts, Li Fan didn't believe that they couldn't get rid of a mere demon. Saint rank. In this world, saint rank was the pinnacle of existence. With 2 saint-level experts, whatever demon, even its mother wouldn't be able to recognize it. In the past, the 4 sacred beasts were only at the saint level. 4 of them could seal the demon, but now they only had half of their strength. Li Fan believed that with his and Murong Ying's supreme fighting skills, they could also do it. I'm definitely going to learn this war dragon roar. Li Fan thought for a while and decided to add some chips to their battle. Just now, before General Ran left, he had told him that there was still a week to prepare before leaving Demon Island. In this week, he and Murong Ying wanted to increase their strength to 4 saint-level experts. You want to increase your strength? Murong Ying understood Li Fan the most. With just a glance at Li Fan's expression, she understood his thoughts. Yes, in the past, the demon on the island was sealed by the 4 sacred beasts. Basically, it was the strength of 4 saint-level experts. With the 2 of us added together, we were almost there. Therefore, we have to increase our strength. Impossible. Murong Ying shook her head. The saint level is already at the peak. Even your external incarnation only has the strength of a half-saint. Moreover, it's a pipe dream to increase our inner strength by 1-fold in just 7 days. It's impossible for the 2 of us to increase our strength by 1-fold alone. Li Fan smiled confidently. But if you and I join hands, it's possible. Not only will we have the strength of 4 saints, but we might even be stronger. You mean, Murong Ying was smart. She immediately understood what was going on. That's right, sword formation. Li Fan laughed. You should have seen the sword formation of my 4 sword servants. It's quite powerful, isn't it? However, we can't form a sword formation with just the 2 of us. But a set of twin swords combination is still possible. Li Fan emphasized on twin swords combination, causing Murong Ying to roll her eyes. Right now, are there any suitable sword arts for the 2 of us to practice the dual sword harmony? Why not? There is. Li Fan was full of confidence. Whose? Where can I learn it? Yours. I'll learn it from you. Chapter 1377. Murong Ying knew that Li Fan always liked to take a different path, but she didn't expect that he would put his idea on her. Nonsense. How could I have any double? Murong Ying's pair of beautiful eyes suddenly flashed with splendor. You mean, yes, your ice flame sword art. Li Fan nodded. I just need to improve it a little, and it will be a good set of joint attack sword art. Can you really do it? Ian, I practice the mysterious dragon ice palm, and you practice the flame palm, which just meets the requirements of your sword art. Li Fan had already thought about it. I already have an idea. Within 7 days, it is enough to practice this sword art. But, between the 2 of us, who will we use to test the sword art? Murong Ying asked. If we want to test the power of this sword art, we need at least an opponent above the saint level, right? Ah, there is. Li Fan clapped his hands. Let's invite Imperial Concubine Ju. A beauty with black hair and white clothes slowly walked in from the outside. Such a beauty was a character in the human world. She wore a simple plain white dress, but it couldn't hide her graceful figure. That graceful curve was tempting to commit a crime. Even the most decent gentleman would probably not be able to help but palpitate at this moment. After such a beauty came in, she didn't forget to give Li Fan a supercilious look. Everything is fine, but you come to make fun of me again. Immortal evil Buddha. Seeing this woman, Murong Ying slightly raised her crescent eyebrows. Imperial Concubine Ju's eyes also fell on her. The 2 women's eyes collided in midair, and they both saw a hint of provocation in each other's eyes. They were both heaven's proud daughters and martial arts geniuses. How could they not be hostile to each other? At such a young age, you have already practiced to this level. You are indeed a talent. Imperial Concubine Ju had the demeanor of a queen, and her momentum was superior. Her words were also condescending, as if she was judging a junior. I can't be compared to senior, but your evil skill has reached the heavens. Murong Ying coldly snorted. It was obvious that she was somewhat unhappy with Imperial Concubine Ju's tone. Both of you are saint-level experts. Don't be so hostile the moment you meet. Li Fan broke out in a cold sweat. As for Dragon Girl, she smiled faintly as she ate her snacks and watched the show. Since you have such a helper, why did you invite me? Murong Ying's voice grew colder. If I could leave China, I wouldn't need your help. Imperial Concubine Ju flung her long sleeves, and her tone seemed to be somewhat disdainful. "Senior, do you think you're stronger than me? Why don't we spar? You two, enough." Li Fan couldn't help but roar. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried an invisible pressure, causing the two women to tremble at the same time, their ears ringing. The dragon lady could not help but nod. Li Fan had learned most of her dragon roar. However, he used such a powerful technique to intimidate his harem. It was a bit of a waste. If the other elders of the dragon clan knew about this, they would crawl out of the dragon tomb in anger. In front of a great enemy, you're still fighting among yourselves. No wonder you're always being bullied by those barbarians. After being scolded by Li Fan, the two women's faces turned red. Although they felt a bit embarrassed, they obediently sat at the side and did not say a word. Wife, Imperial concubine Ju practiced this technique and recently broke through to the saint level. There are still some flaws in her technique. After mastering it, she will take care of the dragon veins of China. Before mastering it, she can't leave China. Otherwise, her strength will regress. What kind of evil technique is this? It's actually so evil. Murong Ying snorted. Imperial concubine Ju slightly frowned, but after glancing at Li Fan, she endured it. In any case, she was a senior in Jianghu. Why should she make life difficult for a rising star? All right, that's enough. Aren't we currently studying the harmonious dual swords? Imperial concubine Ju has just broken through to the saint level, so she's our best touchstone. This consort has fallen into becoming a live target. I will naturally compensate you. Li Fan dryly coughed twice. Making Imperial concubine Ju a live target was indeed a bit unfair to her. Forget about the compensation. This consort only has one request. She really had a request. Li Fan cupped his hands. What request does Imperial concubine Ju have? This one will certainly satisfy it. You're teasing me again. Imperial concubine Ju stretched out her slender jade-like hand from her sleeve and lightly knocked on Li Fan's forehead. This consort doesn't have any other request. I just want to be pregnant with your child. Hey! This sentence stunned Li Fan and Murong Ying. What's there to be surprised about? You're the master of this manor, and in the future, you'll be the master of the island. Naturally, you have to give birth to an heir and carry on the family line. Imperial concubine Ju very seriously said, this consort will help you conceive a child first. That child will be the first heir. Although she was resurrected in the modern era and rebelled in the Ming dynasty, she still had some traditional thoughts in her bones. In these 7 days, you should properly give birth to a child with your imperial concubine. Murong Ying was really jealous. She turned around and was about to leave. All right, stop messing around. You should hurry up and practice your sword. Li Fan grabbed Murong Ying. With Murong Ying's strength, it wouldn't be easy for Li Fan to grab her. But now that he grabbed her, it meant that Murong Ying's heart was still struggling. At this moment, it was better to pacify this woman first. As for Imperial concubine Ju, although she was a bit impetuous today, she could still be considered to be sensible. As for the matter of having a child, I still don't have any ideas. How old am I? Moreover, training 2 apprentices is already enough for me to worry about. Li Fan turned to Imperial concubine Ju and said, moreover, the most urgent matter is to solve the Devil Islands matter first. Surviving is the most important thing. You're right. Imperial concubine Ju nodded, then the two of you can practice. This consort will help you. Today, Imperial concubine Ju spoke as the mistress of the house, making Li Fan helpless. Although Murong Ying was unhappy, there was nothing she could do. The position of mistress was originally hers, but she gave it up and retreated to guard the Murong villa. Villa Lord. Wang Xiaoran walked to the door. It seemed that she had something to ask Li Fan. Millimeter, wait a moment. I have something to tell Xiaoran. When Li Fan walked to the door, Wang Xiaoran condensed her voice into a line and transmitted it to his ears. Master, after 7 days, let's forget about this matter. Li Fan shook his head, in the end, it's against heaven's will. All right, everything will be according to Villa Lord. Seeing that Li Fan was still soft-hearted, Wang Xiaoran bowed to Li Fan and retreated. After Jiang Yi and Xiao Hu left, Wang Xiaoran, as the sword guard captain, became Li Fan's biggest confidant. She turned around and left Li Fan's house. After passing through the corridor, she saw a familiar figure. Chapter 1378. Is he regretting it? Liu Zhu stood in front of Wang Xiaoran with his arms crossed in front of his chest and a blade of grass in his mouth. He looked like an unrestrained handsome playboy looking at Wang Xiaoran. Wang Xiaoran nodded. She was always a bit afraid of Liu Zhu. He is too soft-hearted, but those who want to achieve great things don't care about trifles, Liu Zhu said coldly without any emotion in his eyes. Murong Ying is a top expert and must be won over for the villa. Since the villa master is benevolent, let me do this dirty work for him. Wang Xiaoran was a bit hesitant. Liu Zhu gently put his hand on her shoulder. Xiaoran, don't forget that we are all the villa master's people. Everything is for the villa master's benefit. Yes, I know. Wang Xiaoran's eyes became firm. When the villa master leaves, I will bring the 12 sword guards to handle this matter. No, we can't use the 7 hero sword guards. Liu Zhu rejected Wang Xiaoran's proposal. The sword guards are the bodyguards of the villa. How can we do this kind of dirty work? Moreover, if the villa master finds out, both of us will be finished. Then, it's okay, leave it to me. Liu Zhu told Wang Xiaoran, you just need to keep your mouth shut. If the villa master asks you in the future, just say you don't know. Okay. Liu Zhu said goodbye to Wang Xiaoran and walked through the corridors of the villa. Finally, he entered a secret passage from a rockery and came to a hidden cave in the back of the mountain. In front of the cave, a handsome man was waving a huge sword. He didn't have any skills and was just practicing a normal move. But Liu Zhu didn't dare to look down on this man. As the saying goes, one move is enough to conquer the world. If he can practice this move to perfection, he would be a grandmaster. Elder Chen, your Huashan sword technique is getting more and more powerful. Liu Zhu couldn't help but praise. I think it won't be long before you can see through the sword path and enter the semi-sage realm. Not at all, I'm still far from it. When Chen Junhua saw Liu Zhu, he put down his sword and said unhurriedly, without a great opportunity, it's really difficult to enter the half-sage realm. How could that be? It's naturally very difficult for ordinary people to enter the half-step sage realm, but our villa's people all cultivate essence. As long as you cultivate it to a certain level, you'll be able to see through the threshold of the Grandmaster realm and step into the half-saint realm. If he cultivated his Zhenqi, it would be very difficult for him to break through from Grandmaster to half-saint. However, one could smoothly enter the Xiantian realm and attain the strength of the semi-sage realm if they cultivated the vital qi or the yin and yang qi. Back then, Li Fan, Murong, Bo, and Jiang Feng had all relied on this method to break through. Even Murong Ying had to rely on Li Fan to transfer a large amount of primordial qi into her body to cleanse her marrows and bones before she successfully entered the semi-sage realm. That's true. Our sect's vital energy is truly powerful. There's actually a trace of the natural Tao within it. As Chen Junhua spoke, he couldn't help but feel a little excited. The villa master who was able to research this essence qi is also a godly person. Chen Junhua was very glad that he had followed Li Fan. However, he was also very regretful that the other disciples of Mount Hua didn't have this fortune. They didn't even have the qualifications to practice martial arts. You don't need to blame yourself. The villa master has already reached an agreement with the government to lift the ban on martial arts. The fate-reversing pill has probably already been sent to the hands of the major sects. Mount Hua naturally has a share. Liu Zhu delivered a piece of good news to Chen Junhua. Really? Chen Junhua was overjoyed. He subconsciously stepped forward and reached out to grab Liu Zhu's shoulder. However, Liu Zhu quietly avoided him. However, Chen Junhua was so happy that he couldn't care less about this. That's great. As expected of the villa master. What's there to be happy about? Liu Zhu coldly snorted. For this, the villa master will leave China forever and retreat to the Li family island. Our 7 Knights villa will undoubtedly move there. Chen Junhua was stunned for a moment. There's such a thing. What? You don't want to leave with the villa master? Liu Zhu looked at Chen Junhua with some ridicule. Then you can go back to Mount Hua now. With your current cultivation, you might be able to compete for the position of the sect master. What are you saying? Chen Junhua was a little annoyed. Didn't you and I make an agreement to be the villa master's sword? Good, it's good to hear that. Liu Zhu's expression became serious. Now, there's only one thing that requires us to unsheath this sword. Wonderful. Seeing Li Fan and Murong Ying unsheath their swords at the same time, even the undying evil Buddha couldn't help but praise them. This consort didn't expect that this sword technique could actually have such power. Seeing Li Fan and Murong Ying display this set of sword technique, Imperial Concubine Ju's beautiful eyes continuously burst out with splendor. The two of you, one dragon and one wind, actually make this consort a little jealous. Imperial Concubine Ju's words made Li Fan a little embarrassed. It's still Murong Ying's sword technique that's brilliant. Li Fan quickly flattered his wife without batting an eyelid. This set of ice flame sword technique has given me a lot of inspiration. In the world of martial arts, only speed is unbeatable. Imperial Concubine Ju commented, this sword technique of yours has displayed this method to the limit. That move of dragon and phoenix bringing prosperity. This consort actually can't think of a way to resolve it. Unfortunately, time is short, I can only think of these three sword techniques. Holding the spring wave sword, Li Fan was a little regretful. These three moves are all masterpieces, what are you still unsatisfied with? Imperial Concubine Ju rolled her eyes at Li Fan, however, your sword technique still has some flaws. Impossible. Murong Ying had just put the autumn water sword back into the sheath. Hearing this, she was somewhat dissatisfied. Since childhood, she had been proficient in the way of the sword and could be said to be a master swordsman. Just now, she and Li Fan's combination of swords was incomparably exquisite. How could there be any flaws? Oh, you don't believe me? Imperial Concubine Ju laughed. This set of sword technique of yours only has power, but the flaws are enough to be fatal. Nonsense. Don't think that just because you've practiced a few more years of sword technique, you can casually evaluate it. Murong Ying unconvinced looked at Imperial Concubine Ju. Under our dragon and phoenix yin-yang sword technique, you won't even be able to withstand one move. Although there were only 3 moves in the dragon and phoenix yin-yang sword technique, each move had several hundred variations. Even after practicing it, Murong Ying admired Li Fan endlessly. This Imperial Concubine Ju was actually nitpicking. Truly preposterous. You don't believe me? Imperial Concubine Ju smiled and stretched out her hand. The sword on Chun Er's back immediately flew out and fell into her slender jade hand. Holding this sword, she evilly pointed it at Murong Ying. If you're not convinced, then you too can attack me. Li Fan was also a little puzzled. His dragon and phoenix yin-yang sword technique could be said to be able to display the strength of these two people to the greatest extent. Not to mention one saint-level expert, even if there were 4 saint-level experts, Li Fan still had the confidence to take them down. But why was Imperial Concubine Ju so certain? Chapter 1379. Imperial Concubine Ju just stood there, seemingly holding a sword very casually, as if she didn't want to compete, but just wanted to play around. However, Li Fan and Murong Ying acted as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Both of them held their swords at the same time and launched their joint attack. Li Fan pulled out his spring wave sword and pointed it at Imperial Concubine Ju. Murong Ying also held her autumn water sword, flipped over, and lightly landed on top of Li Fan's head. She stepped on his shoulder with one foot and lifted her other foot in the air. At the same time, Li Fan's sword exuded a dense cold air, while Murong Ying's sword was burning hot red. One ice and one fire, dancing like a dragon and a phoenix. The strength of these two people was obvious. Once 2 top-notch martial saints joined hands, it was already very frightening. Moreover, the two of them had cultivated the yin-yang dragon and phoenix sword art, which had doubled their strength. Li Fan believed that even if he faced Liao Ju, he could easily defeat him, not to mention Imperial Concubine Ju, who had just entered the martial saint level. Come. Imperial concubine Ju didn't say it out loud. She just smiled and invited them to fight. Undying evil Buddha, watch my sword. Murong Ying was a little impatient. She and Li Fan had painstakingly practiced swordsmanship. How could she lose to this woman? She lightly stepped on the ground and immediately flew towards Imperial concubine Ju. At that moment, Li Fan also moved. The two of them simultaneously turned into sword shadows, one white and one red, one up and one down, one left and one right, and instantly arrived in front of Imperial concubine Ju. In the world of martial arts, only speed was unbeatable. Li Fan had softened Murong Ying's swordsmanship with the azure dragon water touch of the dragon subduing sword technique. What he pursued was extreme speed. Both of their figures appeared beside Imperial concubine Ju like lightning. Yin-Yang dragon and phoenix sword technique, swimming dragon and phoenix, 100% power. It was just a competition of moves, so the two of them didn't use their full strength. However, both of their swordplay contained the will of the heavens. With two swords, they blocked all of Imperial concubine Ju's escape routes. Behind Li Fan and Murong Ying, the silhouette of a dragon and a phoenix appeared. This was the manifestation of their auras. Even the dragon lady could not help but secretly nod when she saw the dragon phoenix portrait. Whoosh! The two swords emitted the same piercing sound. However, Imperial concubine Ju smiled sweetly. She actually used her own body to forcefully take on Murong Ying's sword. Then, the long sword in her hand blocked Li Fan's spring wave sword, and the tip of the sword instantly rested on his neck. Murong Ying was shocked. She subconsciously wanted to pull back her sword to save Li Fan. However, Imperial concubine Ju's body was like a black hole. It actually sucked in Murong Ying's autumn water sword. Murong Ying couldn't pull it out and couldn't use the power of the yin-yang sword of dragon and phoenix. Defeated in one move. Li Fan's eyes dimmed. The yin-yang sword of dragon and phoenix that he created with his own imagination couldn't even last one move in the hands of Imperial concubine Ju. Imperial concubine Ju took a step back and dispersed her power, allowing Murong Ying's sword to be pulled out from her vital point. Imperial concubine Ju practiced the undying evil technique. This sword strike was fatal to ordinary people, but to her, it wasn't a big deal. Even if this woman's head was chopped off, she could still use the materialization technique to condense it again. Without this kind of strength, how could she be called the undying evil Buddha? Actually, this set of swordplay of the two of you is indeed powerful. If you perform well, even if there were 4 of us standing here, they still wouldn't be your opponent. Imperial concubine Ju's swordplay and knowledge had already convinced Murong Ying. Then what's the problem? Li Fan asked. The problem lies in the fact that you only have the swordplay, but you don't have the sword intent. Imperial concubine Ju bluntly said, the yin-yang sword of dragon and phoenix, as the name suggests, is interlinked. Like a dragon playing with a phoenix, it can display the greatest effect. But the two of you, although you are husband and wife, you sleep in the same bed but dream different dreams. There is no tacit understanding to speak of. In this way, how can you display the effect of this swordplay? Li Fan and Murong Ying were silent. Imperial concubine Ju really hit the nail on the head. She instantly pointed out the weakness between the two of them. But there was no other way. The two of them had been estranged for a long time. At this time, they reluctantly got together just to suppress the devil. If they succeeded in the future, it was inevitable that they would part ways and wander the Jianghu. There are still 6 days left. The two of you should properly comprehend the sword intent. Imperial concubine Ju reminded them, if you really have mutual affection, then let alone the 4 saints, even if it's the 5 saints, they will still be a ghost under your sword. She returned the sword to Chun-Er, turned around, and walked out the door. After 6 days, come find me again to test your swordplay. Watching Imperial concubine Ju leave, Li Fan couldn't help but mutter. This Imperial concubine Ju is really a martial arts master. My wife, what do you think? What do you think? Practice swordplay. Murong Ying grabbed Li Fan, and the two of them concentrated on practicing swordplay for a few days. Both of them were top-notch experts, and their talents were outstanding. This set of swordplay only took 3 to 4 days to reach the point of perfection. Every move was skillful and pure. Chun-Er, what do you think? After 6 days, Li Fan ate his carefully prepared lunch and asked Chun-Er, who had been watching them. This husband, Chun-Er's understanding of martial arts is not as comprehensive as Dong-Er's. However, Chun-Er and her sisters have been practicing swordplay since they were young. Although they can't be said to be proficient, they have some experience. Alright, I know you want to complain. Say it. Li Fan saw through Chun-Er's thoughts, so he waved his hand and told her to let go. In terms of swordplay, the two of you are indeed worthy of being called masters. If you compare swordplay alone, an ordinary martial saint should not be a match for the two of you. But what? Why are you still hesitating? Say it, I won't blame you. Li Fan encouraged Chun-Er, and Murongying also spoke, which was rare for her. Practicing martial arts is like rowing a boat against the current. If you have any mistakes, just say it. Chun-Er thinks that Imperial concubine Ju's words make sense. Although the two of you have exquisite and unique swordplay, this swordplay is still lacking something. Is it really like that? Li Fan seemed a little unhappy. Chun-Er immediately lowered her head, not daring to say another word. Why are you giving me that look? Even I don't want to say it. Murongying was more open-minded. She glared at Li Fan and pulled Chun-Er's hand. Say it, is there something wrong with the two of us? Chun-Er nodded. The 4 of us sisters are born from the same mother. Our hearts are connected, so we can unleash the 4 emblems sword formation to its fullest. However, the 4 emblems sword formation of the 7 hero sword guards can only unleash half of its power. This is the difference. Sigh. Li Fan looked at Murongying. Wife, why don't we stop practicing tonight and consummate our marriage first? You're courting death. Murongying's face turned red. She glared at Li Fan angrily. If you speak nonsense again, I'll cut off your tongue. Goodbye. Aya, we're already in the modern society. How can we be so feudal and inflexible? Li Fan laughed. It doesn't matter what the surname is. As long as the child is cute. My wife, look, it's late. Why don't we rest early? Humph. Murongying snorted and turned her head away. But her face was red to her neck. Even if she was the leader of the martial arts world, she would inevitably be shy at this time. Good wife, let me help you undress. Li Fan stretched out his hand and gently placed it on Murongying's back. He pulled the zipper of the cheongsam. As long as he pulled it down, the best side of Murongying would be revealed in front of him. Thinking of this, Li Fan couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Murongying's body trembled slightly. She didn't seem to have any intention to stop Li Fan. The two of them didn't have much time left. She would just give herself to him. It could be considered as putting an end to the ill-fated relationship between the two of them. This way, she wouldn't feel that she owed him anything. Just when Li Fan was about to make his move, the sound of gongs and drums could be heard from outside. What's going on? Murongying looked out of the window. Don't care about them. Someone will handle it. The sound of gongs and drums became louder. Quickly go and take a look. Murongying seemed to be a little worried as she urged. Damn it, I'm going to kill someone. Li Fan was infuriated. What were these fellows messing around again? He charged out aggressively. It was a mess outside. What's going on? Li Fan asked loudly. Villa head, this is bad. The people from Ejian Hall are fighting with the people from Whistling West Wind. A disciple hurriedly reported to Li Fan. They're fighting. Li Fan felt a headache. These two groups of people still couldn't suppress their anger. Of all the times to do it, it just had to be on his wedding night. If they want to fight, then fight. Why are they beating the gongs and drums? Li Fan stared at him and asked. The guests in the manor are beating the gongs to liven things up. This bunch of idiots. Li Fan was speechless. Fighting was wrong, yet they were beating the gongs to liven things up. It seemed like the moment the ban on fighting was lifted, these martial artists who had been holding back couldn't help but become restless. Villa head, You see, forget it, I'll go and take a look. After all, this was a matter of the manor. Li Fan still decided to go and take a look first. The ban on fighting had been lifted. Logically speaking, Whistling West Wind and the people from Ejian Hall should have left the manor. Why didn't the two groups of people leave? Instead, they were fighting. Li Fan walked all the way to the front courtyard. Sure enough, the people from Ejian Hall were all gathered together. Each of them was glaring at each other with hostility, as if they couldn't wait to fight with each other naked. As for the guests who hadn't left the manor, they were watching the show from the side, beating the gongs and drums happily. Li Fan was speechless. Everywhere he went, there would be people who loved to join in the fun. They were just a bunch of people who didn't mind the matter getting bigger. Fatty Long, you must give us an explanation for today's matter. Jin Jiomor looked at Long Fengyu angrily. The little girl seemed to be very angry and was gnashing her teeth. This was originally a misunderstanding. What is there to explain? Ling Yu stood beside Long Fengyu. Long Fengyu didn't say anything, but this little girl was defending her alliance leader. Ejian Hall, don't go too far. You're making a false accusation. Jin Jiomor clenched his fists. Luo Shuewu stood behind with a cold expression. No one knew what she was thinking. Alliance leader Long, after going through so much, I feel that we should still be friends. We should work together against a common enemy. Night Rain Tower sat in a wheelchair. He was pushed to the front and cupped his hands towards Long Fengyu. The hero's token is our alliance leader's keepsake. Please return it. An honest person doesn't do underhanded things. Long Fengyu seemed to have seen Li Fan. He took a deep breath and said unhurriedly, "That's right. This hero's token is indeed with me." Li Fan was a little puzzled. What is this hero's token? Are you a bunch of bastards going to interrupt my nuptial chamber just for this thing? Chapter 1381. Did I disturb you? Seeing Li Fan standing beside her, Luo Shuewu seemed a little embarrassed. She lowered her head and apologized to Li Fan. "I'm sorry, don't be so polite. I didn't sleep anyway." Looking at Luo Shuewu, this icy beauty, Li Fan's anger subsided a bit. Now that she was speaking to him in a low voice, Li Fan couldn't blame her. He could only grit his teeth and swallow his tears of blood. "What's wrong with you guys? Why are you quarreling all of a sudden? Long Fengyu took our hero's token." Speaking of this, Luo Shuewu was a little annoyed. "We asked him for it. What is a hero's order?" "That's the token of the World Alliance's Alliance Master, Liu Jinchan. With that token, he can command the heroes of the World Alliance." Luo Shuewu said. "After Alliance Master Liu perished, this hero's insignia has always been with us, Xiao Qingfeng, for safekeeping. Now that the martial prohibition order has been lifted, Long Fengyu wants to use this hero's medallion to once again rally the experts of the World Alliance that have retired, and restore the riding horse Whistling West Wind to its former glory. Fatty Dragon, this person is really ambitious." Li Fan smiled. "I knew it. This small place of mine can't accommodate him. As you all know, the pugilistic world has just experienced a catastrophe." When Long Fengyu opened his mouth, the surrounding noise also quieted down. It seemed like everyone wanted to hear what this fatty had to say. Long Fengyu stood there and cupped his hands towards Li Fan. "Fortunately, we have Villa Master Li's protection, allowing us to survive. However, this calamity came with great momentum, and our four alliances were pretty much wiped out. Think about how glorious our world alliance was when Alliance Master Liu was still around." Looking at the present, he couldn't help but sigh, feeling that he had let down his ancestors. That was why he came up with such a plan to obtain the hero's token. "I don't seek wealth and glory. I only wish to rebuild the Heaven Alliance and restore its former glory. Alliance Master Long is right." Night Rain Tower was neither servile nor overbearing as he chuckled and said, "We naturally congratulate you for establishing the Heaven Alliance. But he shouldn't have taken our hero's token, right? Brothers of Yi Jian, you have already left the four great alliances and voluntarily joined the 7 Chivalry Mountain Villa, becoming a hall of the villa. In that case, The hero's medallion would be useless in your hall. Who said we're useless? Could it be that you all wish to leave the manor? Long Fengyu intentionally or unintentionally glanced at Li Fan. My friends from the Yi Sword Hall, the manor has treated you well in the past. Now that the manor has lost its power, you can't be thinking of abandoning Villa Master Li and leaving, right? The Jianghu was the Jianghu. Riding a horse was riding a horse. This method of gathering information was top-notch. Li Fan's Seven Knights Villa had lost the support of the government and was on the verge of collapse. Besides, they had to move to Li Clan Island, which meant that they would be far away from the martial artists in the Chinese plains. To these martial artists who wanted to fight for supremacy in the Chinese plains, it was only natural that they would no longer be able to get close to them. Whether or not I, Yi Jian, want to leave the Seven Knights Villa is a matter between me and Villa Master Li, Luo Shuawu said lightly. It's not up to Alliance Master Long to worry, right? I can't not worry. Long Fengyu sighed. If I had listened to my advice back then and the four great alliances united, how would it have ended up like this? The four great alliances are only second-rate in the pugilistic world. Luo Shuawu was frank. Even if we united, what can we do? Think about Wudang, Shaolin, thousand-year-old aristocratic families. Didn't they also decline in this calamity? It is precisely because of this that we have to unite to prevent the tragedy from happening again. Long Fengyu was uncharacteristically insistent on his words. Only with great power can we stand firm in this world. Nonsense. Luo Shuawu refuted, but Long Fengyu chuckled and his gaze landed on Li Fan. I think that among these people, others might not understand, but Villa Master Li, you definitely agree with me. Everyone immediately looked at Li Fan. In the past, these hanger-ons would look at Li Fan with reverence and worship. But today, they were a little distant. Without the martial arts prohibition, they naturally did not need to rely on Li Fan to survive. Especially since Li Fan had offended the government, he had to obediently scram overseas. How could he have the qualifications to meddle in the affairs of the Central Plains? In the face of disaster, they all flew away. Why would they care about Li Fan's current life or death? Although Long Fengyu was a little excessive, he also said what everyone was thinking. With the martial arts prohibition lifted, it was time to compete in the pugilistic world again. The strong were respected. This was the rule of the pugilistic world. That's right. Li Fan also nodded, seemingly agreeing with Long Fengyu's words. But where was this wrong? It was because of this power that Li Fan could protect the last meridian of the pugilistic world with the Seven Knights Villa. If his strength was ordinary, how could General Ran and the others support him to become a hero? Hearing that even Li Fan agreed, Long Fengyu's eyes were a little proud. Jin Zhomor and the others were a little unhappy. This Li Fan, why was he speaking to Fatty Long? Could it be that he wanted to build a relationship with Li Fan? But this is a different matter. It is true that the strong are respected, but you should not forcefully seize from the hands of others. Alliance Master Long, you are my guest, and Alliance Master Luo is my brother. I respect you, but I can't watch you snatch my brother's things. Li Fan kept calling him brother, causing Luo Shuawu to be a little annoyed. This guy was too hateful. So, Villa Master Li wants to stand up for Yi Jian? Long Fengyu smiled. I heard that Villa Master Li used to be one of Yi Jian's protectors. Although you have left Yi Jian, you are still willing to protect them. I, Long, really admire you. But, Long, to be honest, you have to see if the other party appreciates your kind intentions. According to what I know, Yi Jian has already planned to leave your hall and return to their snow mountain. Is that so? Li Fan glanced at Luo Shuawu. The latter lightly turned her head away, not daring to look at Li Fan's eyes. Long Fengyu laughed in his heart. This time, he must drag Yi Jian down with him. Although Li Fan has lost power, his personal strength is still there. Who would dare to look down on a sacred rank expert? But, I heard that Alliance Master Liu left behind a secret room back then. As long as one has a hero's token, they can open that secret room. Not to mention commanding the retired experts of World Alliance, they can also obtain some gifts from Alliance Master Liu. At that time, Xiao Shifeng will truly become powerful. He will no longer need to rely on someone else's wings and be submissive. Villa Master Li, you have helped me before. Long Fengyu naturally has to repay your kindness. Although I have some friendship with Alliance Master Luo, what she did this time is indeed adding insult to injury. This Long Fengyu really can't stand it. For a moment, Luo Xuewu, Night Rain Tower, and the others were somewhat restless. Will this infuriate Li Fan? Long Fengyu, this bastard actually exposed their plan in advance. He really deserves to die. What will Li Fan do? Chapter 1382. However, Li Fan just stood there with his arms crossed and didn't make a sound. It was as if he already knew all of this. Luo Xuewu observed Li Fan's expression many times and realized that he didn't have any emotions, which made her even more nervous. She had no choice but to leave Li Fan and 7 Chivalry Villa. 7 Chivalry Villa was about to move overseas, but Yi Jian had to return to Snow Mountain. After the ban on martial arts was lifted, Yi Jian had to continue to develop and become a great alliance that could rival the Heaven Alliance. Yi Jian didn't belong to him, but to the hundreds of brothers in the alliance. However, Long Fengyu was too hateful. He exposed this matter in advance and even took away the hero's token. This way, Yi Jian was in a passive position. Alliance Master Long, thank you for thinking of me. Under everyone's gaze, Li Fan finally spoke. However, Yi Jian leaving 7 Chivalry Villa is something that Alliance Master Luo and I have already discussed. Our 7 Chivalry Villa is moving to an island, so we naturally can't leave no influence in the Central Plains. Li Fan's words stunned everyone. Long Fengyu furrowed his brows. Did he make a wrong move? Judging from Luo Xuewu's expression, she clearly didn't tell Li Fan about this. However, he didn't expect that Li Fan was willing to cover for Luo Xuewu. He had underestimated the bond between the two of them. This wasn't good. So, Alliance Master Long, please hand over the hero's token. Li Fan continued, Yi Jian hasn't left yet and is a hall under my banner. That hero's token belongs to 7 Chivalry Villa. Isn't it inappropriate for you to take something that belongs to 7 Chivalry Villa? Villa Master Li. Are you going to stand up for Yi Jian? Long Fengyu's eyebrows trembled. Things had already exceeded his expectations. Long Fengyu was thinking of a plan to deal with it. We're all martial artists, so I don't want to be too extreme. Li Fan's voice became colder. 12 7 Chivalry sword guards stood beside him with their hands on the hilts of their swords. The expressions of Ling Yu and the others turned serious as if they were facing a great enemy. They all gathered their innate qi and prepared to attack. Every single one of the Whistling West Wind's men were wholeheartedly protecting their master. They were worried that Long Fengyu would be in danger. We naturally know that the 7 Knights Villa is powerful and powerful. Long Fang, you took a step back in order to advance. Since you want to take the lead, we can't defeat you. This hero's token can only be handed over to you. However, the 7 Chivalry Mountain Villa bullied the weak. In the future, their reputation in the world of martial arts will not be very good. It's said that Fatty Dragon is a glib talker and has a sharp tongue. I've finally seen it for myself today. Xia Hu, who was standing beside Li Fan, the head steward of the villa, reprimanded them. You snatched someone else's things, yet you accuse us of bullying the weak. How interesting. Fatty Dragon, since you're like this, don't blame our villa for being heartless. Hand over the hero's token and get out of the villa. Riding on horseback, Whistling West Wind was not familiar with them to begin with, but Li Fan took them in on account of their relationship with the martial arts world. Now that these people had turned around and wanted to leave, they even made false accusations. Even the usually gentle Xia, who was a little angry today. Elder Xia is right. Wang Xiaoran held the 7 Chivalry sword and rebuked, riding on horseback, do you think our villa has no people? What are you afraid of? At worst, we'll just start a war. The people riding on horseback shouted one after another, but Long Fengyu remained silent. Ling Yu was in a bit of a dilemma. As a high-ranking member of the riding on horseback, she also felt that they had gone overboard this time. Li Fan had helped them so much. Now that Alliance Chief Long is doing this for the hero's token, although it's for the good of the Alliance, this method is a little despicable. Everything is for the great cause. Long Fang Yu seemed to have seen through her thoughts and lightly placed his hand on Ling Yu's shoulder. This sentence seems to have strengthened Ling Yu's conviction. Hand over the hero's token and go down the mountain. Li Fan said slowly to Long Fang Yu, the world is very big, you can do whatever you want. Since Villa Master Li said so, I'll hand it over. Long Fang Yu extended his hand, took out the black hero's token from his sleeve, and threw it over. Li Fan extended his hand and was about to catch the hero's token. But at this time, a black light suddenly flew over from the side and directly caught the hero's token and pulled it over. Everyone turned their heads at the same time and saw a woman dressed in white standing at the side. She was holding the hero's token with one hand and had a sneer on her face. Insolent maniac, hand over the hero's token. Jin Hisao was furious. He clenched his mantis fist and was about to snatch the hero's token back. Come back. Li Fan extended his hand and activated Dragon Capturing Hand. He forcefully pulled Jin Hisao back and pressed him back to his original position. Li Fan, what are you doing? Jin Hisao was very unhappy. Saving you. Li Fan said. His gaze never left the woman in white. This woman is very strong. He. I was actually seen through. The moonlight shone on the woman's face, revealing her beautiful face. This woman was beautiful and charming. Her peach blossom eyes were flowing with electric waves that seemed to be able to capture one's soul. In terms of appearance, this woman was not inferior to imperial concubine Ju and Murong Ying. However, her charm was something that the other two beauties did not have. She only needed a gaze to make the hearts of all the men at the scene run wild. Long Fangyu, a peerless and ambitious person, could not help but be moved when he saw this woman. This kind of woman should belong to him, Long Fangyu, and become the private and exclusive pet of the future World Alliance leader. Thinking of this, Long Fangyu could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. His gaze moved all the way down and looked at the woman in white from top to bottom. He was even staring at her pair of jade-like legs, unwilling to shift his gaze away. This little brother has some good eyesight. The woman in white waved the hero's token in her hand. Since you guys are fighting over it, why don't you give this to me? I will definitely take good care of it. You guys can rest assured. Misleading the masses with lies. I can't let you live. Long Fangyu flew into a rage. Even if I can't get this thing, you, a little girl, want to get it. Long Yi, Long take it back. Yes. Behind Long Fangyu, two shadows flashed by. Li Fan is somewhat startled. As soon as these two shadows moved, he could tell that they are master-level experts. My goodness. There are actually two hidden experts beside Long Fangyu. This is truly unexpected. Even Luo Xuewu is gobsmacked. This Long Fangyu has concealed himself very deeply. The two experts are actually using Shaolin Temple's Dragon Claw technique and they are using it to perfection. Their coordination is also superb. One on the left and one on the right, they grabbed the woman in white's vital parts. The surrounding spectators are somewhat unable to bear to see this beauty die miserably under the hands of the Dragon Claw. Chapter 1383. Two experts beside Long Fangyu, one on the left and one on the right, used top-notch Dragon Claw technique to grab the white-clothed beauty. One of them grabbed the top of the beauty's head, the other grabbed the beauty's chest center acupoint. Both of them actually want to kill this beauty, but at this moment, the white-clothed beauty suddenly moved. To be precise, it was her head that started moving. Her long hair scattered. Two strands of hair suddenly turned into two sharp swords and directly pierced towards Long Yi and Long Er's body. Long Yi's throat was directly pierced, while Long Er luckily escaped with his life. His shoulder was still pierced by the swords and was thrown to the side. Seeing this scene, everyone's heart trembled with fear. Two evolved master experts were actually killed in a flash. This seemingly delicate white-clothed beauty's method is actually so ruthless. Ayaya, so hateful. You dirted my hair. The white-clothed beauty lightly wiped the blood from her hair. Her long black hair scattered behind her back, as if it never turned into a murder weapon. "There are so many grown men here, how can you bear to bully a little girl like me?" After saying that, she looked at the men present with coquettish eyes. Almost all the men present have the same thought: this woman, she is trying to make love to me. She needs me, I should act like a man, protect her and make her crazy for me. Momentarily, all the men present subconsciously raised their internal force, wanting to fight for this charming girl. Ha! Li Fan suddenly burst into laughter. This laughter is like a devil's voice, instantly penetrating everyone's eardrums, causing their whole body to tremble. Their infatuation with the white-clothed beauty is also released. Hey! The white-clothed beauty's gaze fell on Li Fan. She seems to be somewhat surprised. But her eyes immediately became as tender as water. In the blink of an eye, she actually appeared beside Li Fan and lightly touched his cheek with her hand. "Handsome little brother, there is something special about you. I like you." Pa. Li Fan grabbed the white-clothed beauty's hand with a smile on his face. "Sorry, I am a very conservative person. How about we get to know each other first?" "That's boring. Everyone is unfamiliar with each other." "That's more exciting." "It's too exciting. It's not good for the heart. It's good to try something exciting once in a while. I think it's better if you stay and let everyone get to know each other better." "That won't do. I like something more exciting." As the white-robed beauty spoke, she suddenly retracted her hand and appeared behind Li Fan. At the same time, the long hair behind her turned into several sharp swords that stabbed towards Li Fan. Li Fan stretched out his hand and sucked in one of the 7 hero sword guards' treasured swords, holding it in his hand. Clang, clang, clang. Even the hair of the beauty in white was blocked. She was actually unable to move Li Fan at all. "Little handsome, your big treasure sword is so powerful." The white-robed beauty giggled and said, "Use a bit more strength, I want to feel it more deeply." "Okay, then you have to enjoy it." Li Fan chuckled, and then the speed at which he swung his sword suddenly increased. Dragon and Phoenix Yin-Yang Sword. Alone, Li Fan unleashed the Dragon Sun Sword. This Yin-Yang Dragon Phoenix Sword could make Li Fan's speed 10 times faster than before. Puff! No one saw Li Fan's move clearly, but the white-robed beauty's shoulder was already stabbed by Li Fan. The white-robed beauty immediately retreated and flew backwards. She slid more than 10 meters away and landed on the rockery at the side. "Little handsome, you stabbed me so hard." The white-robed beauty clutched her shoulder and looked at Li Fan with a hint of bitterness in her eyes. "No matter what, I'm still a girl. Isn't it not good for you to be so cruel? Don't you have tender feelings for the fairer sex?" "I might have to disappoint you, but I like violence." Li Fan held the sword and looked at the white-robed beauty. "But if the beauty can return the thing, I can consider being a bit more gentle." "So stingy." The white-robed beauty waved the hero's token in her hand. As the saying goes, take it from me, so I'll give you some leeway. If you take it back, I won't be able to hold back. "No need to hold back, let's get high." Li Fan held the sword. He wanted to see how strong this woman was. This girl's martial art is too strange, it's actually all on her hair. Her hair seems to be alive, it can be used for both offense and defense. It doesn't look like the martial arts of the Central Plains, but more like some evil arts. However, this world is too big. There are many experts with all kinds of strange skills. This woman's specific strength needs to be tested to know. That's not necessary. Today I'm here to take the thing. Once I get it, I'll leave. The white-robed beauty looked at Li Fan. "I'll be waiting for you at the Demon Island." "Demon Island?" Li Fan frowned slightly. "Goodbye, little handsome." As the white-robed beauty spoke, she waved her hand and flew backward, instantly dashing down the mountain. "Don't be in such a hurry, let's chat a bit more." Li Fan chuckled and extended his hand, activating the dragon-capturing hand. A strong force of attraction immediately pulled the white-clothed beauty's body. With Li Fan's skill, he can even pull the mountain rocks over. However, the beauty waved her hand and shattered Li Fan's skill, then fled far away. Li Fan stood on the mountain and looked at the fleeing girl. He didn't chase after her. Jin Jiomor wanted to chase after her, but he stopped him. "Forget it, don't chase a cornered enemy." Li Fan said in a deep voice, "This person has the strength of at least a half-sage. None of you are a match for her." Half-sage, everyone was speechless. Are half-sages not valuable anymore? They are everywhere. Such a powerful woman, where did she come from? Xia, who couldn't help but ask, could she be someone from the Martial Imperial Palace? No, the people from the Martial Imperial Palace all use the 5 Emperors' Throne Palace. Li Fan pondered for a while. You will know when we reach the Demon Island. Li Fan. I'll leave the matter of the hero's token to you. Luo Shuawu had no other choice but to seek help from Li Fan. Yes, I will do my best. Li Fan withdrew his gaze and looked at Luo Shuawu. However, you should also tell me. I'm afraid this hero's token can't only command the people from the Heaven Alliance, right? Luo Shuawu hesitated for a while. Follow me to my room, eh? Li Fan was stunned for a moment. Follow her to her room? Fuck, today is my wedding night. If you want to know, then come. Luo Shuawu sent a voice transmission and returned to her room. Alliance Master Long, please go down the mountain. Xia, who had already started to send the guests off. Long Fengyu didn't say anything. He was ambitious and hurriedly went down the mountain with Long Yi's corpse. After tidying up the villa, Li Fan hesitated for a while and still walked into Luo Shuawu's room. Chapter 1384. There were many houses in the villa, so Luo Shuawu naturally had her own boudoir. But her room was very simple, with only a bed, a table and a chair, and a few landscape paintings hanging on the wall. It looked no different from an ordinary person's room. However, there was a faint fragrance lingering in the room, making Li Fan feel refreshed when he smelled it. Thinking that he couldn't smell this smell in the future, Li Fan felt it was a pity. Finally willing to come in? Luo Shuawu sat at the head of the bed and seemed to look at Li Fan with some hidden bitterness. Didn't you ask me to come? Close the door. Well. Leave the door open, so that the air can circulate. You bad guy. Luo Shuawu was a little annoyed. She waved her hand, and the door was closed with a bang. Li Fan hesitated for a long time, but finally didn't have the courage to open the door again. If he really opened it, Luo Shuawu would definitely be angrier. Why don't you come and sit down? Luo Shuawu snorted. Are you in a hurry to go back to see Murongying? Well, why do you two have such a deep hatred? After all, you are cousins. Li Fan, do you know what I like most about you? Ah! Li Fan was surprised. He didn't expect Luo Shuawu to ask so straightforwardly. Probably because I'm handsome and extraordinary. Bah! Luo Shuawu spat with a smile. You're handsome and extraordinary? Don't flatter yourself. To tell you the truth, I like you because of your rebellious spirit. There are people who like rebellious people. Li Fan smiled bitterly. After all, I used to be young and impetuous. I don't think so. Luo Shuawu shook her head. It's called rebellious, but actually you did what we dare not do. It's also because of your rebelliousness that we can preserve our current Jianghu. Li Fan, I've never misjudged a person. So, I don't regret liking you. It's my honor. Well, after saying so much, there's actually one thing. What? I want to give you a child. Puff. Li Fan was drinking tea, but when he heard this, he spat it out. Fuck, what's going on today? Is it written in the almanac that I'm going to give birth to a son? Why are these two girls fighting to give birth to a son for me? What kind of expression is that? Seeing Li Fan's dumbstruck expression, Luo Shuawu was slightly speechless. I'm not such a casual person. Yes, I know. Li Fan looked at Alliance Chief Luo, who was as cold as an iceberg. If he said that he wasn't moved, he wouldn't be a man. But sleeping with Alliance Master Luo just like that? Li Fan couldn't bring himself to do it. What's wrong? In the past, there was something wrong with my body, so I couldn't sleep with him. But now that you've learned the mysterious dragon ice palm, this bit of cold energy naturally can't do anything to you. Should we continue what we didn't finish today? Tell me the truth. Li Fan decided to just let it go and said, I wouldn't be a man if I didn't want to have sex with a beauty like you. Bah, you speak so crudely. After Luo Shuowu heard this, she couldn't help but spit. Should she be happy or annoyed by what he said? His words are crude, but his logic is crude. But the two of us still have to separate in the end. I don't want to ruin your life. Why are you so long-winded? Luo Shuowu rolled her eyes. In short, don't even think of going to Murong Ying's bed tonight. What, you still want to force a girl to be a prostitute? H. Li Fan, when you came in, didn't you smell the fragrance here? Li Fan suddenly felt that something was wrong. This is the body incense that I meticulously made. I guarantee that you won't be able to control yourself. Hey! Why does a sleeping incense have such a grand name? Li Fan wanted to ridicule, but he found that he couldn't say anything. His cultivation was divine, and even if it was an energy dissipation pill, he would be able to resist it. But this sleeping incense wasn't a poison, and Li Fan actually couldn't resist it. The lust in his body was fully aroused. Luo Shuowu sat on the bed, and the more he looked at her, the more beautiful she looked. If he could have sex with her once, it seemed pretty good. Li Fan just wanted to tear off all of Luo Shuowu's clothes, and then go straight to the root of the problem and pamper her. This desire was like a burning flame, burning in Li Fan's heart. Even if he was Liu Xiaohui, he couldn't sit still at this moment. Come on. Luo Shuowu's face was a little red, and she actually took the initiative to hook her finger at Li Fan. This kind of action was considered beyond the scope of Luo Shuowu. If the people of Sword Reliance saw this, their jaws would definitely drop. This was their ice queen, and she could actually do this to a man. But Luo Shuowu was a little proud in her heart. Little guy, Li Fan, do you want to climb onto Murong Ying's bed tonight? Make Murong Ying pregnant. Tempage, no way. Your first child, Li Fan, must be my, Luo Shuowu's. Sword Reliance will have a powerful heir. SSSSI. Li Fan's eyes were a little red. He walked forward, pressed down Luo Shuowu, and tore her clothes. As expected of the Ice Queen. Her skin was like snow, smooth and white, without any flaws, like the most exquisite work of God. Li Fan usually liked to do some foreplay, but under the influence of the drug, he purely displayed his animal nature and went straight to the root of the problem. Luo Shuowu's ice aura didn't have any negative effects on him. Instead, it was a great supplement. Luo Shuowu was in a bit of pain at the start, but after all, she had a body that trained in martial arts, so she quickly endured the pain. In just a moment, the pain turned into joy. Very quickly, the sound of mandarin ducks and mandarin ducks could be heard from Luo Shuowu's room. Luckily, Luo Shuowu had chased away the surrounding people. On the second day, when Li Fan woke up, he realized that Luo Shuowu had already dressed up and was dressing up in front of the mirror. A piece of the bedsheet was cut off, and it seemed to be kept by Luo Shuowu. You are awake. Li Fan saw that Luo Shuowu was tying up her hair. According to the ancient customs, her hair should be let down before she got married. After she got married, she tied up her hair. Girl, did you purposely show it to Murong Ying? Li Fan was a little speechless when he thought of the absurdity of last night. Anyway, what should have happened has happened, and I didn't say anything. What are you complaining about? As Luo Shuowu spoke, she tied up her hair. They are already looking for you. Aren't you going to pack up? Damn, I have to go to Demon Island today. Li Fan said that he had disappeared for a night, and Murong Ying would definitely blame him. But how should he explain it? Wait, I forgot why I came here. When Li Fan was putting on his clothes, he suddenly thought of something. What about the secret of the hero's token? Since I'm already yours, I can tell you now. Chapter 1385. Luo Shuowu stepped forward considerately and helped Li Fan put on his clothes. At the same time, she whispered in his ear. The hero's token can not only command the heroes of the World Alliance, but it also hides a huge secret. Luo Shuowu's words finally aroused Li Fan's interest. He had sacrificed his body, so he had to get something in return. If she knew Li Fan's shameless thoughts, Luo Shuowu would definitely go crazy. Back then, Alliance Master Liu had 2 sets of martial arts that were very powerful. The smell on Luo Shuewu's body was indeed very fragrant. Li Fan looked at her appearance. That pink and tender face had the charm of a young married woman, which added a bit of charm to it, making Li Fan want to turn back. However, he tried his best to restrain himself at the thought of the enemy. Such a stunning beauty was willing to bear children for him. It was really his blessing. In order to divert his thoughts, Li Fan answered Luo Shuewu's question. I know. One is the 9 Buddha Sutra. Liu Jinchan knows this technique because he has some relationship with imperial concubine Ju. Yes, the 9 Buddha Sutra has a total of 9 pages, which are scattered everywhere. However, it's not surprising that you, Murong Bo, and Li Wei of the Devil Cult have comprehended it. Luo Shuewu nodded. Although the 9 Buddha Sutra was powerful, it was no longer a secret with the birth of imperial concubine Ju. Liu Jinchan's 9 Buddha Sutra was modified based on imperial concubine Ju's immortal evil technique. There are a total of 9 moves and 9 styles. In addition, Liu Jinchan also knows a move called God Slaying, which he comprehended in his later years. However, people don't know that Liu Jinchan has a real unique technique that is far superior to the 9 Buddha Sutra and God Slaying. Oh! Li Fan was a little surprised. He knows other martial arts. And it's far superior to the 9 Buddha Sutra. The 9 Buddha Sutra was already a very powerful martial art. How could it be ordinary if it was created by Liu Jinchan? When the 9 Buddha Sutra was born, it only took 1 page to cause a terrible bloodshed in the underworld. An even more powerful cultivation technique? How attractive would that be? However, this cultivation technique has already been lost. Luo Shuewu said, even in the hero's token, there is only one general instruction. An incantation? Yes. Luo Shuewu nodded. It said that it's the main principle of the true immortal arts. Li Fan was a little surprised. True immortal arts. So the hero's token had such a secret. Alliance leader Liu is an unparalleled hero. It is said that he discovered the true immortal arts' general principles and mnemonics. Then, he hid it in the hero's order, waiting for the later generations to study it. Since there is such a thing, why don't you cultivate it yourself? Li Fan could not help but ask. Although it was just a simple formula, every martial art, especially inner force, had a general principle and key points. The principle of essentials could be considered a rough cultivation method. It could be practiced on its own and could be considered an entry-level skill. Since the true immortal technique was so powerful, why hadn't he cultivated a bit of the falling snow dance for so long? After all, it is a secret. This secret has been hidden in the hero's token for hundreds of years, and no one has been able to understand it. Even I have not been able to decipher its mystery. Luo Shuewu sighed. Now that it has come to this, we can only take back the hero's token first. If it's possible, perhaps you can understand the secret of this hero's token. It can be considered a kind of opportunity. You haven't understood it for so many years. How can I be so lucky? Li Fan had already put on his clothes. I don't know if I can get back the hero's token. I will try my best. Husband. Then I will leave it to you. As Luo Shuewu spoke, she bowed to Li Fan like a wife would. Looking at Luo Shuewu's appearance, Li Fan's heart was somewhat moved. If he could find such a beautiful wife, he would not be able to ask for anything more. However, Luo Shuewu and Murong Ying did not get along well. It was not quite possible for them to be together with him. Moreover, this pair of cousins were very similar in their bones. They both wanted to be independent. Murong Ying had the Murong Villa, while Luo Shuewu had the sword leaning on the wind. Neither of them could give up their family business. I'm leaving. Li Fan did not say anything more. He turned and walked out of the room. Thank you, Li Fan. Luo Shuewu looked in the direction where Li Fan had left and sighed softly in the end. If they were fated, they would probably meet again in the future. Murong Ying, I have to say, your taste is really good. At this moment, Li Fan had already met up with Murong Ying. Both of them were sitting on a helicopter heading to Demon Island. However, Murong Ying's expression did not look good. Li Fan used the excuse that he had gone to chase after the beauty in white last night, so he did not come back. Li Fan said a lot of nice words. Finally, Murong Ying's expression became better. Just who is that girl in white? Besides them, there were only soldiers armed with live ammunition on the helicopter. Murong Ying asked directly without any scruples. I haven't asked her yet. However, I guess she is closely related to Demon Island. Could it be that there are other people living on Demon Island? Murong Ying felt it was strange. Who knows? However, let's ask around when we get to Paul Island. Paul Island was not far from Demon Island. It was originally desolate and uninhabited. However, in order to suppress Demon Island, soldiers from many countries were stationed there. Those who did not know would think that various countries were going to war on Demon Island. At that time, you have to listen to my command. Li Fan looked at the boundless sea below. When I tell you to go, you have to listen to my command. Don't look down on me. Murong Ying was not convinced. Who in this world can rival the two of us? I hope so. But I don't know why, but I have a bad premonition. Don't think too much. Murong Ying comforted Li Fan. Let's not talk about other things. Both you and I are martial saints. Could it be that the girl in white last night is stronger than you? No, but she is still a semi-sage. Li Fan voiced out his conjecture. A half-step sage expert can't just throw his life away for others. Especially that girl's martial art is very strange. Her long hair is like a sword. Even you and I can't train our hair, can we? Of course not. Can Imperial concubine do? Murong Ying asked. Haha, of course not. Li Fan could see through Murong Ying's thoughts. He could not help but laugh. Humph. Murong Ying snorted. She was somewhat dissatisfied that her thoughts were seen through. Her ears were slightly red. She turned her head to the window and did not look at Li Fan. However, a goddess was a goddess. Just the side of her face was enough to make Li Fan spellbound. If he could survive, he really hoped that he could stay with Murong Ying forever. Just when Li Fan was letting his imagination run wild, a soldier at the side suddenly spoke. Officer Li, we have arrived. Chapter 1386. Bow Island was a small island with an area of only a few thousand square meters. In this vast ocean, this island was as small as an ant. However, it was this inconspicuous island that had gathered a lot of people from all over the world. They were all elites. Abel was the new captain of Team A and the third-generation person in charge of Project Zeus. Although the plan to destroy Dragon God No. 1 had failed, the United States did not give up. Gods of Dusk was still constantly developing the latest technology, trying to break the myth of the saint-level masters in China. This time, he led the elites from all over the world and looked at the faintly visible Devil Island in the distance. It was said that a terrible demon was sealed on that island. The plan this time was to land on that island, destroy the demon, and then find a way to get its genes. This way, the United States could still return to the position of hegemon and step on China again. The United States must have the final say on this earth. However, the premise was that they had to defeat the demon first. The general had instructed that in order to complete the mission, they could cooperate with China and borrow the strength of the Chinese masters. When he thought about cooperating with those Chinese monkeys, Abel felt a strong dissatisfaction in his heart. He was an elite of an empire, but he had to rely on a group of people from the East. It was too shameful. Abel decided to remember this shame and take revenge in the future. Why haven't those Chinese arrived yet? Looking at the time, Abel, who was enjoying the sea breeze, said in annoyance. They should be here soon. Beside Abel stood a blonde beauty. Her name was Elizabeth, a member of Project Zeus, and she obeyed Abel's command. The beauty of this blonde beauty attracted the attention of many men on the island. However, the blonde beauty ignored them and only stared at one person, and that was her commander, Abel. In the training school of Team A, Abel was the most outstanding one. He had also completed many field missions with flying colors. Such a powerful man was worthy of her ideal partner. As for the other men, they were weak, pompous, and did not deserve to stand by her side. These Easterners are so arrogant. Commander, I think we shouldn't wait for them, Elizabeth suggested. God is my witness, who wants to wait for them? Abel scolded fiercely. These monkeys don't know the concept of time. They don't know the rules. Do you want me to inform everyone that we are starting to land on the island now? I want to too, but we're a team. Abel waved his hand. Those Easterners really don't know the rules, but as the commander of the team, I have to know how to be patient. Give them a little more time. If we don't see them before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll immediately land on the island. You are truly magnanimous. Elizabeth admired Abel even more. She felt that his image was incomparably glorious and great. If the two of them knew that Li Fan was late because he was accompanying a girl, they would probably vomit blood. Half an hour later, a helicopter finally arrived and landed on Paul Island. Li Fan and Murong Ying got off the helicopter. The staff of the Joint Parliament immediately went up to receive them. However, the staff's attitude was neither warm nor cold. Li Fan recalled that he had offended the Joint Council in the past, so he didn't say much. In any case, when he arrived on the island, he could only rely on his own fate. He did not expect the experts from other countries to help him. Boss. At this moment, a familiar voice came from the side. Li Fan turned his head to look. It was none other than the current head of the Parker family, William Parker. When he was in America, he had once helped him win the position of the head of the family. Naturally, he had a deep impression of him. "Heh, why are you here, kid?" When Li Fan saw him, a trace of a smile hung on his face and walked over. This time, the Parker family also has to contribute to the crusade against the Devil Island. When William saw Li Fan, he was a little excited and a little respectful. "I thought that boss would probably come, so I took the family's spot and came personally. Recently, my skills have improved." Li Fan looked at William's increasingly powerful breath and praised him. "You have the demeanor of a big family head. Hey, with my little ability, it's not worth mentioning in front of boss." William maintained his modesty. "I hope boss can give me more pointers." The people around saw that the head of the Parker family was actually so respectful to an Easterner. It was simply unbelievable. "Commander, why is that William Parker so friendly with the Chinese?" Elizabeth was also a little puzzled. "Maybe they have business dealings." Abel was very calm. "The Chinese are all nouveau riche. The Parker family likes to deal with the rich the most." "That's true. You're really quick-witted." Although Elizabeth was also an expert, when she looked at Abel, she was like a crazy little fangirl. It made many people who liked her a little dazed. However, when Murong Ying came out, the eyes of many men here were attracted by this oriental beauty. Even if the Westerners' aesthetic was somewhat different from the Easterners', a beauty like Murong Ying still conquered them. Although Elizabeth didn't care about these men, she still felt a little uncomfortable being outshone by an Oriental woman. How could an Oriental woman surpass her in terms of charm? Thinking of this, Elizabeth slightly lifted the hem of her skirt, letting her skirt, which was originally pressed on her knees, rise to the position of her thighs. A pair of straight long legs immediately attracted the attention of many people. She was a little proud. With a provocative look, she glanced in the direction of Murong Ying. However, Murong Ying didn't even look at her. This woman was wearing a red cheongsam, holding a treasured sword. She was looking in the direction of Devil's Island, as if she was looking for something. Deliberately mystifying. "Boss, when we get to the island, you have to protect me." While William and Li Fan were chatting, William suddenly said, "You're a duke, aren't you? Why do you need me to protect you?" Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Boss, as a dark creature, I can feel that there is a terrifying existence on that island." William also smiled bitterly. "Originally, I was excited to see you. But now, I really regret it." "Oh, the existence on the island is so terrifying?" "Yes," William nodded, and then thought of something. "Forget it. Since I'm here, I can more or less feel at ease with you around. By the way, boss, I've been very interested in Chinese culture recently. How about you give me a Chinese name? What do you think? Huh? Li Fan thought to himself, why does William speak so randomly? This guy wants to call me by a Chinese name. An idea came to Li Fan. When he saw Li Fan coming over, he immediately went forward and saluted him. Senior Colonel Li, right? I'm the commander this time, Abel Bordeaux. Hello, Commander Abel. Li Fan greeted him and got to know him. Although the higher-ups wanted to cooperate with the Joint Council, they didn't say to what extent. It was fine to just give them some face. Li Fan didn't want to have too much contact with them anyway. Especially when he looked at the surrounding frigates and the aircraft carrier, they were aggressively heading towards the Demon Island. With such great fanfare, were they going to start a war with some country? If these could threaten the people on the Demon Island, why would they come here? 1 aircraft carrier and 9 frigates were heading straight towards the Demon Island. When we reach the island, I hope you two can follow my orders. Abel said to Li Fan. I know you Huaxia people don't follow the rules, but since you're in my team, I won't be polite if you don't follow the rules. Abel first put on a show of strength. Before Li Fan could speak, Murong Ying spoke first. What? You're meddling in our affairs. Murong Ying stared at Abel coldly. Come, give me an order. With how proud Murong Ying was, how could she allow this person to ride on her head? Too presumptuous. Elizabeth shouted. She stretched out her hand, and a crimson flame burned in her palm. I'm the inheritor of the fire god of Team A. Whoever dares to disobey Abel's management will be going against the gods of dusk. As she spoke, the flame in Elizabeth's hand rose more than a meter high, like a furnace. The surrounding soldiers felt the heat and subconsciously took 2 steps back, avoiding the scorching heat. Elizabeth was a little proud. Her flame could even melt steel, let alone these 2 Huaxia people who didn't know the rules. After seeing her power, they should know fear. Humph. Murong Ying coldly snorted. Her hand gently rested on the hilt of her sword. But at this moment, the ship's alarm suddenly rang. Everyone looked up and saw 9 figures walking in the air. Each of them picked a ship and landed on it. The one who landed on Li Fan's ship was very familiar. It was the white-clothed beauty who came to his villa yesterday. Little handsome, what a coincidence. We meet again. The beauty winked at Li Fan. Murong Ying then sent a contemptuous look. Ahem, don't misunderstand. There's nothing going on between us. Li Fan explained. Humph, you didn't get the chance. Otherwise, this beauty wouldn't be able to escape your clutches. How can you say that? I'm a serious person. Really? Would a serious person even accept Imperial Concubine Ju? Murong Ying pointed out, from Imperial Concubine Ju to Little Senior Sister, you didn't let anyone go. Cough, cough. What are you trying to snatch this time around? Li Fan scolded the white-clothed beauty. What do you mean I want to steal? It's obviously you who came to my house to make trouble. Chapter 1388. Everyone's eyes fell on Li Fan. At that moment, Li Fan saw suspicion, fear, hatred, and even a trace of envy. Bang! Li Fan did not hesitate. He raised his hand and pushed the beauty in white more than 5 meters away. The beauty gently landed on the ground and tilted her head to look at Li Fan. Little handsome, why don't you have tender feelings for the fairer sex? Could it be that you like men? I'm not interested in unknown women. Li Fan added a sentence, especially when my wife is here. That's a pity. I still want to have a good time with you. The beauty in white sighed. Shut up. Abel angrily shouted, who told you to flirt here? If you don't tell me, then die. All the bullets were loaded and ready to fire at any time. So fierce, but it doesn't matter. The beauty in white suddenly jumped up and landed on the flagpole at the side. She looked at the people below. Because you can't kill me. Instead, I want to kill you. Such a big tone. Who are you? Why Elizabeth couldn't bear it anymore. She held the flame in her hand and asked. You came to my house, but you don't know who I am. The beauty in white said with a bit of ridicule, go down and ask the king of hell. With that, the hair behind the beauty in white fluttered. A powerful energy also exploded from her body. Kill her. Abel saw the danger she was in. Without hesitation, he immediately ordered to shoot this woman. The surrounding soldiers opened fire. Bullets rained down. However, the beauty in white smiled. Her hair turned into 10 sharp blades and waved around her. Ding ding dang dang. Sparks exploded in the air. It was so dazzling, but so dangerous. The bullets were bounced back to the soldiers. The beauty in white was powerful and was not afraid of bullets. However, the soldiers were all mortals. They couldn't stand it. After a round of bullets, there were no less than 20 soldiers lying on the ground. Everyone stop. Abel was a bit distressed. These were all soldiers contributed by the US Empire. Ordinary soldiers definitely couldn't deal with her. He had to send out experts. Why Elizabeth, take care of her. Yes. Why Elizabeth opened her palm and shot a fireball at the white-clothed beauty. This scarlet fireball was like a cannonball, instantly hitting the white-clothed beauty. The white-clothed beauty flicked her hair. Her hair was like a sharp blade, instantly cutting the fireball into several pieces. However, why Elizabeth's lips curled into a smile. Her fingers moved, and the few balls of flames that had been cut apart began to swim. Like maggots in a tarsal bone, they landed on the hair of the white-dressed beauty. You think my flames are that easy to deal with? However, the white-robed beauty did not seem to care. She allowed her hair to burn. Even his entire body was engulfed by the flames. However, this dense burning flame seemed to be wearing clothes on the body of the white-clothed beauty. Elizabeth was stunned. Little handsome boy, I'm coming. The white-clothed beauty quickly smiled again. Her hair once again turned into a sharp blade. Following Li Fan's strength, it descended from the sky and stabbed towards Li Fan. She was already very powerful. Now that she borrowed Li Fan's strength, her whole body turned into a sword and stabbed in front of Li Fan in an instant. Li Fan gently retreated, and at the same time, he raised his palm and struck out with a frosty aura. Mysterious Dragon Ice Palm, Mysterious Dragon Spitting Pearls, 100% power. A ball of energy hit the white-robed beauty and sent her flying. With a loud clang, she smashed into a frigate on the opposite side, directly smashing a hole in the ship's deck. Such a powerful combat strength caused Elizabeth and the others to stare with their eyes wide open. This Chinese man, is actually so strong. The white-clothed beauty that even my flames can't do anything to, can't even withstand one move from Li Fan? However, Li Fan narrowed his eyes because the opponent's strength has completely exceeded the half-saint realm, and is infinitely close to the saint realm. Chapter 1389. Was this the true power of the white-clothed beauty? Li Fan frowned slightly. There were 9 identical white-clothed beauties here, and each of them had a power close to the sage level. Motherfucker, since when were half-saints everywhere and martial saints as numerous as dogs? It seemed that the demon island couldn't be underestimated. Handsome, you are so heartless. I am very sad. The white-clothed beauty looked at Li Fan gloomily and said, I will play with you until here today. I will be waiting for you on the demon island. As the white-clothed beauty spoke, she pulled herself out of the corvette and slowly floated into the air. We will meet again someday. These words were left behind in the air. When Yang Ling raised his head, the white-clothed beauty had already used her lightness technique and entered the demon island. At this moment, the sky above the demon island, which was originally clear, was suddenly filled with a black fog that covered the sky. This black fog even contained faint red lightning. It was extremely terrifying, and it engulfed the bodies of the 9 white-clothed beauties. At this moment, the corvettes in the surroundings had already sunk into the sea. They had become sacrifices for the demon island, just like the warriors who had been sacrificed on them. Li Fan used the dragon soaring through the 9 heavens in the air and flew to the deck of the aircraft carrier. Murong Ying wore a red cheongsam and stood there quietly, waiting for Li Fan's return. Boss. What is the background of those women? William was the first to approach Yang Ling. He had a worried expression on his face as he said, "Can we still attack the Demon Island?" "Don't worry. We will cross the bridge when we come to it." Li Fan comforted William. Actually, he was also a little uncertain. This group of women had only come to cause trouble, but they hadn't revealed anything about their background. While Li Fan was puzzled, his satellite phone suddenly rang. This satellite phone was given to Li Fan by Lin Luo through a special method. It was specially used for contacting people. "Boss, I am on my way to the Demon Island. Please wait for a moment. Don't enter the Demon Island. This place is getting more and more strange." Li Fan quickly instructed them. "We are preparing to enter the Demon Island. You can just wait outside." Li Fan roughly calculated the time. "In 3 days, if we don't come out, you guys leave first and return to Li Family Island. Forgive me for not being able to comply. Lin Luo couldn't take it anymore. You want us to abandon you and run for our lives? Absolutely impossible. I will naturally think of a way." Li Fan warned Lin Luo, "Obey orders. But, no buts. Just wait at Paul Island." Li Fan's attitude was very unyielding. He didn't want Lin Luo and the others to die in vain on the Evil Devil Island. "Commander Abel. What should we do next?" Someone asked Abel for advice. "Leave the wounded and wait for the rescue team from the Union Council." Abel thought for a moment and ordered, "I will choose 100 elites to go to the Evil Demon Island later." Some were excited, some were looking forward to it, and some were scared. "I am willing to follow Master Abel." Elizabeth immediately stood up. "I, Elizabeth, am willing to be a sharp sword in your hand." "Very good, Elizabeth. You are a qualified warrior. The loss just now is nothing. You will become even stronger after understanding the reason for your failure." "Yes, my master." Elizabeth was very happy. As long as she could help Abel, she wouldn't hesitate even if it cost her life. In Elizabeth's heart, the mission was only secondary. Romantic love was the first. This beautiful Elizabeth was a mixed blood of 3 countries: England, France, and Italy. To her, love was the most important. "Now, I will begin to choose. These 100 people were all the most outstanding warriors. We will work together to conquer the Evil Demon Island and protect our families." Abel was very brave. His words made everyone's blood boil again. Their fear of the Evil Demon Island also decreased a little. Abel looked at the crowd. He reached out his hand and began to call the roll. "Carter, young knight of the Round Table, we need you. Kagazong Ryu, your ninjutsu is the best against the demons. Borov, you are the most outstanding Roman warrior. Please cut through the thorns for me. Duke William, you are a powerful and ancient vampire. I desire your help. Li Fan, Murong Ying, you two also need to go." When Abel spoke to Li Fan and Murong Ying, it was more like a command. This made Murong Ying unhappy again. "We will go in ourselves." Murong Ying rejected Abel's order. "Good luck when we get to the island. You Huaxia people are too much." Elizabeth couldn't help but scold. "How dare you disobey a military order? Do you want to be court-martialed?" "Military order?" Li Fan was a little unhappy. "Don't use military order to pressure me. I am not a soldier of the gods of dusk. I am only cooperating with you." Arrogant Chinese. Abel was extremely annoyed. These damned Huaxia people dared to provoke his dignity again and again. Although the higher-ups had asked him to temporarily cooperate with the Chinese people, they couldn't tolerate it anymore. "This demon island is full of danger. If you don't follow the team, you will be courting death." Abel looked at Li Fan and asked again. "I will give you one last chance. As long as you admit your mistakes and sincerely repent, I will allow you to return to the team." "No need. The road is facing the sky. Let's go our separate ways." "All right, as you wish." Abel sneered. "I knew you would say that. When we get to the Demon Island, let's see how you two Chinese people die. Let's go. Li Fan pulled Murong Ying's hand. The two were about to leave. William hurriedly followed them and shouted, "Boss, wait for me. Let's go together, Duke William." Abel was shocked. This Duke William was a powerful fighting force. What was he going to do? "Where are you going?" "Of course, I will follow the boss." William rolled his eyes. "Do you want me to follow you, trash?" After saying that, William eagerly chased after Li Fan. Li Fan and Murong Ying held hands. The two were like a celestial couple. They used their qinggong and jumped into the black cloud. A pair of black bat wings spread out behind William and flew in. Abel was a little dumbfounded. Duke William was the head of the Parker family. Even when he talked to him, he ignored him. Now, he was willing to follow a Chinese. This world was really crazy. This humiliation, he must return it to that Huaxia man untouched. Don't worry about those people. The mission is more important. Let's go. Abel waved his hand. The 100 people he selected took turns to board the helicopter on the aircraft carrier and flew into the black cloud. Chapter 1390. Li Fan and Murong Ying held hands as they used their lightness skills and dived into the dark clouds. The visibility in the dark clouds was very low, and they were surrounded by rolling red lightning. The lightning was twisting in the dark clouds like terrifying snake demons. They were displaying their strength and malevolence to Li Fan. "There's an uncomfortable aura here." Murong Ying gently covered her nose as if she was uncomfortable. "It's a little stifling." Li Fan felt his heart palpitate. It was as if there was a huge rock pressing down on his heart, making him feel unhappy. There seemed to be a powerful creature in this place that was emitting a terrifying aura. "It's an evil aura." Li Fan and the rest turned their heads and saw William flapping his wings and flying in. "It's very similar to our aura. It's very dark." In that case, Li Fan extended his hand and grabbed William's arm, allowing him and Murong Ying to fly in the air. "Damn, boss, it's so heavy." William almost fell. "You're a duke. How can you not have this bit of strength? Fly quickly. Be careful of the lightning in front." "Boo-hoo, boss, I'm not a means of transportation." William wanted to cry. "Lad, keep it up. I believe you can do it." William could only allow Li Fan to grab him. He tried his best to flap his wings and fly through the dark clouds. Rolling red lightning kept exploding in his ears, making William's heart palpitate. If not for his boss, he wouldn't have dared to come to this island. Because he was a duke of the blood race. As a dark creature, he instinctively feared stronger creatures. "Everyone, be careful." Li Fan also had a bad premonition. Devil Island was definitely not a good place. He didn't know where the 4 sages' successors had gone. They hadn't shown up even at this time. "We can see land in front. Let's land." Li Fan's vital energy gathered in his eyes. He looked at the ground and immediately instructed William. "Yes, boss." William flew over obediently. The 3 of them finally passed through the terrifying clouds and arrived on the island. This island was verdant and lush, surrounded by mountains and rivers. It looked like a paradise on earth, beautiful beyond compare. Between the mountains and rivers, animals were the true masters. For a moment, the birds flew and the beasts flew away. It was hard to imagine that such a beautiful place would be sealed by a terrifying demon. "It's beautiful here." Murong Ying couldn't help but let out a sigh. "It would be nice if I could stay here for the rest of my life. Our Li family island is not worse than this." Li Fan laughed heartily. "Moreover, there are no demons. When the time comes, we can build a small building, enclose a small courtyard, raise children, and play with them. Isn't that great?" "We'll see." Murong Ying responded indifferently, as if she didn't want to answer Li Fan's question. Murong Ying couldn't tell what the road ahead would be like. Murong Ying didn't dare to guarantee that she would be able to seal the evil demon and face an unknown and terrifying opponent. William placed the two of them on the top of a mountain and sat beside them, panting heavily. Am I that heavy? Murong Ying glanced at William intentionally or unintentionally. No, how could that be? William was so scared that his scalp went numb. Oh my God, Li Fan could be considered as his half-master. Then Miss Murong could be considered as his master's wife. If this master's wife was unhappy, his master would be unhappy. If his master was unhappy, how could he be happy? Master's wife, you're so beautiful. You're like a fairy from the east. Your figure is so graceful and agile. How could you use the word heavy? Master's wife. Murong Ying ignored William's flattery and raised her eyebrows. I taught him some martial arts. He can be considered as half a master. Li Fan hurriedly explained. So that's the case. Then follow us. Murong Ying seemed to be in a good mood. Don't go too far. Master's wife will protect you. Thank you, Master's wife. You're not only beautiful, but you're also so powerful. No wonder Master likes you so much. William's mouth was very sweet, allowing Murong Ying to enjoy it. Li Fan said that he had become a bit stupid from practicing martial arts. Looks like in terms of coaxing a girl, he would have to seek advice from this disciple of his. Do you guys think that people will live in this place? Li Fan stood on the top of the mountain. His internal force gathered in his eyes as he gazed into the distance. If there were people living here, it wouldn't be so picturesque, right? Murong Ying said with a deep meaning, only a place without any human habitation would have such beautiful scenery. The evil aura here is so heavy. William gazed into the distance. It's at that place. He stretched out his hand and pointed. Li Fan looked over but could not see anything. In terms of sensing evil aura, William was definitely an expert. Then let's head over there. Li Fan decided to take a look. However, Murong Ying looked back and reminded Li Fan. They're here. As soon as he said that, he heard the sound of helicopter propellers. Li Fan followed the sound and saw no less than 20 helicopters flying in. Li Fan's eyes were like an eagle's. He saw Abel sitting on top of it in high spirits. Carpet bombing. No matter what kind of demon it is, blast them into pieces. With Abel's order, the missiles hanging from the helicopters immediately flew down. One by one, they landed on the island. The flaming mushrooms rose one after another on the island as if they were free. They rose into the sky like the magic of the god of destruction, destroying the creatures on the island. The birds and beasts that were originally living comfortably were instantly killed and injured. The lucky ones ran in all directions, but they didn't know where to go to escape. Chapter 1391. The white-clothed beauty fluttered in the air like a white butterfly. Her hair had already turned into a giant scythe, spinning as she danced, cutting the helicopters around her in half. What a sharp hair! Li Fan stood on the mountain peak and watched the white-clothed beauty's performance. He couldn't help but mutter, is it the ability of her hair itself, or is it because she infused her hair with a power similar to inner force to form such an effect? I'm not sure, but this woman is very strong. Murong Ying also saw some clues. Her strength is close to that of a holy level, right? Almost. Li Fan nodded, and she has very skilled fighting skills, so she should not be an ordinary master. But there are actually 8 other women like her, and all of them look exactly the same, but the techniques they use are all different. Some use fire, and some use lightning. It's like the legendary magic. Let's observe more. Li Fan watched the battle in the air, watching the white-clothed beauty destroy helicopters one after another. Li Fan's emotions did not waver at all. This was the price they had to pay. They were willing to destroy this island and slaughter all the creatures here. Naturally, they had to be prepared to be killed by the other side. Kill her. Abel snorted coldly. This time, they came prepared. Although they had sacrificed some of their companions, this white-clothed beauty would not be able to escape. 5 helicopters hovered in the air, surrounding the white-clothed beauty in the center. Then, a strange sound wave shot out from the 5 helicopters, hitting the white-clothed beauty's body. Li Fan had seen this kind of sound wave before, and it almost made him fall. Now that he used it again, it was indeed amazing. The white-clothed beauty screamed, covered her ears, and fell from the sky, heavily smashing into the forest below. Tempage, do you know how powerful we are now? Did they really think that the gods of dusk were easy to bully? If the tiger doesn't show its power, do they think we are sick cats? Today, he was going to completely destroy this devil island, turn everything into dust, and let everyone know how powerful the gods of dusk was. This power, this dignity, could not be violated. Blow everything up. Abel waved his hand. Activate the Zeus satellite and destroy this place with level 9 lightning. Commander, this place is covered by a strange force field. The satellites can't lock onto this place. The soldier immediately reported. Since that's the case, bring out the earthquake-grade shockwave grenade. Reporting, Commander. We came in a hurry, so we only prepared 10 earthquake-grade grenades. The soldier continued to report, from 1 to 5, each helicopter carried 2 bombs. These 5 helicopters are protected at the back of the team, so the stun grenades are still intact and can be launched at any time. Very good. Adam was very happy and pointed to the jungle below. Flatten the jungle. Commander, the Huaxia people are down there too. In order to suppress the demons, there must be some sacrifices. Abel seemed to be heartbroken. Don't waste their efforts. Drop the bomb. Yes. Earthquaking grenades were the strategic weapons of the Empire. A single one was enough to turn everything within 1,000 meters into scorched earth. The woman in white was down there, and Adam had destroyed her body. Number 1, 3 o'clock direction, 30 meters away. Prepare to launch the samurai. Number 1 received, launching countdown, 10, 9, 8. It seems like something terrible is going to fall. Li Fan stood on the mountain peak and looked at the helicopters circling above his head. He sensed something. Yeah, they want to flatten this place. The woman in white stood beside Li Fan without him knowing, looking at the helicopters above their heads. So scary. Humans are really getting more and more scary. You're talking as if you're not human. Just as Li Fan finished speaking, a huge missile was thrown down from the helicopter. This missile fell vertically, and the propeller at the tail of the missile started to spin. This missile directly smashed in front of Li Fan and the others, heavily embedding into the soil. Shit. William saw this missile. Even Parker's leader couldn't help but panic. This is an earthquaking grenade. We're dead for sure. Don't panic. Li Fan clasped his hands together and activated his inner force. True Dragon Golden Body, 130% power. A huge golden body suddenly appeared, more than 5 meters tall, directly enveloping Li Fan and the others. The woman in white was also hiding inside, but Li Fan didn't chase her away and let her stay inside. What is that? Seeing a huge golden body suddenly appear from the ground, Elizabeth cried out in surprise. He just stared at the golden body. Could it be that it was the last resort of that Huaxia person before he died? Anyway, he's going to turn into dust, let him be. Abel laughed coldly. He didn't take this Huaxia person's move to heart. In front of an earthquaking grenade, all martial arts were paper tigers. In an instant, the grenade exploded. The earth shook, the mountains shook, the sky fell, and the earth cracked. A huge mushroom cloud rose into the sky, as if it was a demon that wanted to devour everything. After stabilizing the helicopter, Abel sighed. Li Fan was willing to sacrifice himself for the safety of the world. He's really a role model of my generation. We must always remember his contributions, and he will live in everyone's heart. Before he finished speaking, the golden body's light pierced through the sky, and he was stunned. What's going on? Abel stared at the huge golden body. The mountain peak was raised to the ground, but Li Fan was still standing there, safe and sound, along with his partner and that damned woman in white. What the hell? Why are they still alive? What on earth was that giant golden figure? Phew, Li Fan spat out a mouthful of turbid air, and looked at his own golden body with satisfaction. This set of defense secret art that he created was getting more and more useful. It could even block a missile of this level. If there's a chance in the future, I'll try to face a nuclear bomb head-on. Li Fan was full of confidence, but Abel kept cursing in his heart. God, does this Huaxia person know magic? Thinking that his plan had failed, and he even wasted a grenade, Abel's heart ached so much that he wanted to vomit blood. Boss, your martial arts are so powerful. Can you teach me? Seeing that Li Fan blocked the terrible grenade, William's mouth couldn't close, and his eyes were full of little stars of admiration. It's a little difficult for you to learn this move. My skill is yang, and your blood race magic is yin. You can attack, but not enough defense. Sigh, what a pity. William sighed, and the woman in white next to him came forward and hugged Li Fan's arm. What about me? Can I learn it? You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.